Chapter 1. Blood Meridians Reborn. The sky was aglow with the setting sun. On the emerald cloud summit outside of fiery Wind City, there was a stone table and a stone bench, where a young couple were nestled together. The youth had a slim build. He was pale in complexion, but had good looks. Meanwhile, the maiden donned a pure white dress. Her skin was as smooth as jade, her looks were stunningly beautiful. The maiden's head was resting on the shoulders of the youth. Bathed in the light of the setting sun, they looked like perfect lovers. "Yao, how I wish we could continue on like this forever," said the youth gently, the smile on his face revealing his happiness. "Brother Ming, of course we can. We said that we would be together for all our lives." A happy smile formed on the maiden's face. The youth's name was Lu Ming, whereas the girl was called Lu Yao. Looking at the smile on Lu Yao's face, Lu Ming's gaze turned even more tender as he held her delicate hand and said, "Yao, although I currently can't gather my essential qi due to my blocked meridians, if I can awaken my blood meridian, the Elder Council will buy me some elixirs and mediate my meridians for me. Then, I'll be able to cultivate. I'll definitely become a powerhouse and protect you for the rest of your life." "Thank you, Brother Ming." Lu Yao's eyes had a touched look as she said, "Brother Ming, did a meridian tester really find out that you inherited your father's blood meridians?" "That's right, Yao. That's why in the future, your man will be a powerhouse." A confident smile formed on Lu Ming's face. Lu Yao tenderly smiled as she lifted a cup on the stone table. The cup was filled with well-known blood orchid wine, which was emitting a faint fragrance. She swiftly kissed Lu Ming on the cheeks and blushed as she raised the cup. "Come, Brother Ming, this one is on Yao." Lu Ming took the cup and said, "Yao, you've treated me to a glass of blood orchid wine every day. I'm really grateful to have you by my side." As he finished his sentence, he raised the cup and finished it in one go. The fragrance of the wine lingered on his tongue, and Lu Ming's heart felt as sweet as the wine tasted. But at the very next moment, he felt that the world was spinning. "Yao, why do I feel so faint?" "Your wine." Lu Ming held onto the stone table as he looked towards Lu Yao. But then he noticed that her expression seemed a little cold. "Ah, Lu Ming, Yao only accompanied you for 3 years in order to cultivate your meridians. Now that we're at this stage, isn't it high time that you contribute with your blood meridians?" At that moment, a middle-aged man emerged from a corner. It was Lu Yao's father. Rumble. The sound rang in Lu Ming's mind, as if it was a bolt from the blue. "Yao." Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao incredulously, but all that was in her eyes was cold indifference. "But I love you so much." Lu Yao's cold gaze was like a sharp knife, plunging into Lu Ming's heart. He let out a loud howl and pounced in the direction of Lu Yao. Sadly, all it took was for Lu Yao to take a small step back, and he landed on the floor. Duan Mulin from the Mystical Sword School started his cultivation at the age of 6. He opened up 2 divine meridians and stepped into Warrior Realm in half a year, and then Master Realm at the age of 9. He's 16 now, and one of the 4 great talents of the Mystical Sword School. What about you? A frail body with blocked meridians. To be blunt with you, you're just trash. Even if you awaken your blood meridians, you'll still be trash. Can you even be compared with Duan Mulin? Only a genius like him would be befitting of me. If I want to be married to him, I need to awaken a stronger blood meridian. Since you love me so much, why don't you fulfill my wish and offer up your blood meridian to help me awaken a stronger one?" A cold voice came from Lu Yao's lips. Bam! At that moment, the middle-aged man stepped on Lu Ming's back with a sharp knife gripped on his hands. He shouted, "Lu Ming, give us your blood meridian." Ugh! Excruciating pain on Lu Ming's spine swallowed him whole. He let out a piercing howl, his voice filled with helplessness and despair. Slowly, Lu Ming fell into boundless darkness. "Lu Yao, I treated you like my beloved, why did you harm me?" Lu Ming shouted, and sat up from his bed so abruptly that the bed made of Phoebe Jinan made a crunching noise. His head was matted with sweat. It was just a dream. No, it was not a dream. How could it have been a dream? It was something that happened 3 days ago. Lu Ming was the main successor of the Lu family in Fiery Wind City. His father was the lord of the Lu family, while Lu Yao was the daughter of the first branch elder of the Lu family. The two of them were from different branches of the same family. Growing up with each other, they were childhood friends. One could say that they were inseparable, and they even made a pledge of their love in private, choosing each other to be their significant other. Lu Ming had not expected that Lu Yao and the first branch elder would make a move against him and snatch his blood meridians. Power. All of this is because I don't have enough power. If I was extraordinarily gifted and powerful, would they dare to treat me like that? Lu Ming clenched his fists. His whole body was shaking and his eyes were bloodshot. Trash. This was what Lu Yao called him. Her words from 3 days ago still rang in his ear. Squeak. At that moment, his door was pushed open, and a delicate middle-aged woman walked in. Looking at Lu Ming on his bed, she asked concernedly, "Ming, did you have a nightmare again?" This beautiful lady was Lu Ming's mother, Li Ping. 3 days ago, it was Li Ping who had gone to search for Lu Ming out of concern for his safety and rescued him. He would be dead if not for that. Ever since word of Lu Ming's father being killed during his travels 6 years ago, Lu Ming and his mother had depended on each other. Lu Ming gazed at Li Ping, his eyes turning tender. "Mother, I'm fine, it was just a dream," he said. Gazing at Lu Ming's pale face, Li Ping sat down next to his bed. Touching Lu Ming's forehead, she broken-heartedly said, "It's been 3 days. You've shouted that Lu Yao harmed you every day. Ming, just what exactly happened? Could it be that Lu Yao is the reason behind your injuries?" "Mother, it's nothing, you misheard me," said Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not tell Li Ping that it was Lu Yao and the first branch elder who did it, as Li Ping did not cultivate martial arts. Telling her would only cause harm to her. Li Ping hesitated for a moment before she said, "Ming, you can't address Lu Yao by her name in front of other people anymore. 2 days ago, she awakened 5th-level blood meridians, and even opened up a divine meridian. She's already gotten approval from the Elder Council. At the house meeting 2 months from now, she'll become the Lord of Lu family, taking control of the family. People might call you disrespectful if you address the family's lord by her name." "What? Lu Yao wants control of the Lu family? She could whistle for it." Lu Ming let out a low, angry howl. Blood rushed into his eyes. He grinded his jaw so hard that it was creaking. His teeth were cracking from the pressure as fresh blood started bleeding out. After word spread about Lu Ming's father being killed, the Lu family had been placed under the leadership of the first branch elder. For 6 years, no new lord had been appointed. Seeing Lu Ming like that frightened Li Ping out of her wits. She embraced Lu Ming's head, tears flowing out non-stop. "Ming, please don't scare me like that. I've already lost your father, I can't lose you too," she said. "Father, where are you?" "Ming believes that you won't die. Now, I'm powerless to the point where I can't even secure the position of the family's lord." Lu Ming was tightly gripping a pendant on his neck. As he used too much strength, his nails dug into his flesh and caused blood to seep out without stop. The pendant, which was the size of a broad bean, was made out of bronze. Before his passing, Lu Ming's father entrusted someone with delivering the pendant to Lu Ming. In these 6 years, Lu Ming had always kept it with him. The blood seeping from his palms flowed onto the bronze pendant. Buzz! Suddenly, the bronze pendant started vibrating and became scalding hot. Before Lu Ming was able to react, the bronze pendant turned into powder after vibrating. The powder went for the palm of his hand, disappearing as it entered his palm. Then, Lu Ming felt a scalding burst of energy traveling from the palm of his hands to his arms, constantly moving up. After a while, it stopped at his glabella. "The 9th dragon never dies, the blood meridian shall be reborn." Suddenly, a deafening roar rang in Lu Ming's mind, shaking his head until it was buzzing. "The 9th dragon never dies, the blood meridian shall be reborn. The 9th dragon never dies, the blood meridian shall be reborn." The continuous roaring constantly rang in Lu Ming's head. Soon after, A scorching heat shot off from his glabella to his spine. At the very next moment, the roaring stopped. But an itchy sensation started to spread from his spine as his body started to heat up. What's happening? Lu Ming could not understand what was happening. At that moment, the itchiness on his spine increased in intensity. It was as if there was something slowly growing. Ming, are you okay? Please don't scare me. Sensing the abnormality on Lu Ming's body, Li Ping felt even more terrified and helpless. The blood meridian shall be reborn? Can my blood meridians really be reborn? Lu Ming felt puzzled. There were records in ancient books stating that, for some reason, a small number of people whose blood meridians had been stripped or damaged were able to have their blood meridian reborn, growing a new blood meridian. However, most blood meridians that were regrown were of low levels, which meant that they were not very useful. But there was an even scarcer amount of people who would be able to rebuild themselves and awaken the ultimate blood meridians, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. However, the chance of this happening was close to zero. Based on early records, there were only a few cases of this happening since ancient times. Lu Meng never even considered breaking through his past and awakening the ultimate blood meridian. After all, the chances of that happening was too slim. As long as he could awaken a blood meridian, he would be ecstatic. With a blood meridian, he would be able to cultivate martial arts and change his own fate. At that moment, the abnormality on his body slowly faded away. Mother, I'm fine. Lu Meng smiled. What are you doing? This is the Lord's residence, you can't just barge in. Suddenly, a delicate voice could be heard shouting from the outside. Lu Meng could identify that it was the voice of Li Ping's servant, Qiuyu. Slap. Scram. There was an unfriendly shout, followed by the sound of slapping. A gloomy-looking youth promptly entered the room. My lady, young master. A girl around the age of 16 entered the room as well. Her face was flushed and swollen, with a palm print on top. She was Qiuyu. It's you, Lu Chuan? What do you want? Lu Ming rose as he shouted coolly. The visitor was called Lu Chuan, Lu Yao's elder brother. He was 16, a year older than his sister. A flash of astonishment darted across Lu Chuan's eyes when he saw Lu Ming, as if he was surprised that Lu Ming was unexpectedly still alive. He then sneered, Great timing, Lu Ming. My sister, Lu Yao, will be leading the Lu family and moving into the Lord's residence. So, you guys are no longer entitled to live here anymore. Hurry and move. Li Peng's face paled. Although she knew that this day would eventually come, she did not expect it to happen so soon. Lu Chuan, Ming'er is injured. We'll move out after 2 days. When Ming'er recovers, Li Ping smiled sadly. After 2 days? You'll have to move out today. Do you think I don't know you're trying to drag out your stay here? Lu Chuan sneered. Today? But Ming'er is injured. It's already so late into the day, let Ming'er rest for a night before moving. Li Ping pleaded. Rest? He can't even awaken a blood meridian. What good will resting do for trash with blocked meridians? He might as well just die. Anyways, you guys have to leave today, said Lu Chuan indifferently. Phoebe Jinan is a type of large tree, common in certain areas of China. Chapter 2. The True War Dragon Technique. Lu Chuan crossed his arms behind his back with an indifferent expression. He looked at Lu Ming, showing open disdain. But Ming'er... Li Ping was about to say something again, but was interrupted by Lu Ming. Mother, we don't need to beg him. If we have to move, so be it, said Lu Ming. But Ming'er, your injuries have yet to recover. It's already night time, what if you catch a cold? Said Li Ping concernedly. Lu Ming stubbornly shook his head. Mother, I'll be fine, let's move out. But there'll eventually be a day when we return. The Lord's residence is where you and Father got married, nobody can take it away. All right then, Li Ping sighed, and asked Qiuyu to pack up their belongings. Lu Chuan folded his arms behind his back, sneering. He was scanning the surroundings when his eyes suddenly sparkled. One moment, you're not allowed to take that sword with you. Lu Chuan walked towards Li Ping, who was holding a sword in her hands. Li Ping's face turned white as she unconsciously tightened her grip on the sword. This sword is the only keepsake left by Minger's father. It's for Minger to use in the future, you can't take it away. If it's something that the previous lord left behind, that's all the more reason that you can't take it with you. It is the public property of the Lu family and must be confiscated. Moreover, Lu Ming can't even cultivate his essential qi. What's the point of keeping the sword? To waste it? Lu Chuan spoke coolly with a fervent look in his eyes. He could tell that the sword was nothing ordinary, that it was a spiritual weapon. You can't, Lu Chuan. I'm begging you. Li Ping hugged the sword, unwilling to let go of it. Lu Chuan's eyes turned cold. You just have to do things the hard way, he shouted. Lu Chuan. There was a loud roar. Lu Ming's eyes were bloodshot, and his fists clenched. Lu Chuan. You can take the sword. But remember this, one day, I will personally reclaim what belongs to me, and by then it'll be tenfold, or even hundredfold. Lu Ming's eyes were cooler than ice, his gaze locked onto Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan's felt cold from Lu Ming's gaze, but he mockingly laughed. Lu Ming, just you, some trash that can't even awaken a blood meridian? You want me to repay you by tenfold, or even hundredfold? Ha, I'll wait for you. Every day for the past 3 years, Lu Yao had spiked Lu Ming's drink with Yama's pollen, which could suppress blood meridians. 3 days ago, Lu Ming had failed to awaken a blood meridian in front of the eyes of the public. It was after his failure that Lu Yao and the first branch elder took the opportunity to make a move. Mother, give it to him, said Lu Ming. As if swayed by the firm look in Lu Ming's eyes, Li Ping reluctantly handed the sword over to Lu Chuan. After their belongings were packed, Li Ping supported Lu Ming as they walked out of the gates to the lord's residence of the Lu family. Lu Ming turned his head and glanced at the residence. One day I'll be back. There was a small compound in the east residence which was supposed to be the living quarters for servants. The compound housed 3 rooms and a small courtyard. Currently, Lu Ming's trio had moved into the compound. It was the dead of night, cold enough to chill bones. Lu Ming was sitting in the courtyard, his fists clenched tightly. Power. In this world, power dictates everything. It's because I don't have power that Lu Yao and the first branch elder could strip me of my blood meridians. It's also because of my lack of power that I couldn't even hold onto the Lord's residence and the sword that my father left. In this world, you can only be humiliated without any way to resist if you don't have power. Now, I can feel my blood meridians slowly growing back. Even if the regrown blood meridians are of the lowest grade, as long as I put in 10 times the effort of other people, or even 100 times, I believe that I won't pale in comparison. One day, I will truly be able to control my own fate and defend my own people. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Li Ping was holding a robe, which she helped Lu Ming slip into. Minger, it's cold outside. The room has been tidied, you should come inside and get some rest. Mother, you should rest early too, Lu Ming smiled. He returned to his room and sat on the bed. Lu Ming still found it hard to sleep. When will my blood meridians finally be reborn and grow? Lu Ming pondered and shifted his mind to his spine. He wanted to understand the situation of his blood meridians which had yet to grow. At that moment, there was an itchy sensation on his spine. There was a sudden flash of hazy red. In that red light, there was a silhouette of something resembling a worm, around the size of a finger. However, it looked elusive, he could not get a clear view of it. My blood meridian has yet to fully grow, but it can already be manifested? Lu Ming was surprised. Normally, only a fully awakened blood meridian could be manifested. Since it can be manifested, then let's see if it can be cultivated like a normal blood meridian. At the thought of that, Lu Ming started to circulate the qi condensation art, which was a basic art that was common knowledge in the Lu family. The spirit energy in the air immediately gravitated towards the direction of Lu Ming's body. This rate of absorbing spirit energy can already be compared to a second-level blood meridian. Feeling the density of the spirit energy gathered around him, there were sparks of joy in Lu Ming's heart. In this land, martial artists were divided into ordinary martial artists and blood meridian martial artists. However, the two types of martial artists could not be compared. Blood meridians martial artists had awakened blood meridians. Not only did their power level spike, but their rate of cultivation was also incomparable to normal martial artists. Despite that, blood meridians martial artists were few in number. There was a possibility of nobody awakening a blood meridian in a group of dozens. And now, Lu Ming's blood meridian, which had not completely finished growing, was able to absorb spirit energy at a rate akin to a second-level blood meridian. What would happen if it finished growing? What effects would there be? Lu Ming was looking forward to it very much. The spirit energy was continuously condensed and absorbed by Lu Ming, seeping into his body. 2 hours later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. After 2 hours of cultivating, he felt that his injuries had recovered slightly. His weak and frail body had also improved a little. At this rate, it'll only take a few days for my injuries to fully recover. My body will also improve, and when that happens, my rate of cultivation will also increase. As Lu Ming pondered, his hands involuntarily touched his neck. The bronze pendant had disappeared, leaving only a silk thread on his neck. That bronze pendant should have something to do with my ability to regrow my blood meridian. Now that it's gone into my glabella, I wonder if there are any effects? As he was thinking, he shifted his mind to his glabella and tried to sense the pendant. When his mind shifted to his glabella, a halo dispersed from the area which turned into a vortex. The vortex was increasing in size, surrounding Lu Ming's entire body. In the next moment, the land shifted in space, and Lu Ming found himself in another place. Startled, Lu Ming promptly sized up his surroundings. At that moment, he was standing on a flat stone platform. The platform was 10 meters wide and long, surrounded by a field of chaos on 3 sides. There was only one side with stone steps leading up, with a total of 99 steps. After the 99 steps, there was another platform. In front of the platform was another set of stone steps. Level after level, it was unknown how many levels there were, and on the very top of all the platforms and stairs, there was a palace. As the distance was too far, Lu Ming was unable to get a clear look. He could only barely make out the open doors of the palace. In the haze, there seemed to be a silhouette sitting cross-legged. The sounds of chanting could be heard coming from the palace. As the sound of chanting entered his ears, Lu Ming felt refreshed, as if all his worries had dissipated into the air. As if his mind and body fell into a void, his head had never been so clear. What's happening? Why am I here? Where is this? There's a stone tablet there and a black steel chest. On the side of the platform he was on, there was a stone tablet and a chest. There were 2 words written on the stone tablet. Supreme Shrine. There was nothing else apart from those 2 words. Then, Lu Ming shifted his gaze onto the black steel chest. The chest was not large. It was not even half a meter wide, nor a meter long. Lu Ming opened the chest and found 3 books inside, along with a jade bottle. 3 words were written on the jade bottle. Marrow cleansing pills. Marrow cleansing pills? These are actually marrow cleansing pills? Lu Ming was ecstatic and quickly popped the lid of the jade bottle. Suddenly, a strong fragrance of herbs invaded his nose. There was a fiery red pill in the jade bottle, its size no bigger than the tip of a finger and its body clear as crystal. Legends told that the marrow cleansing pill was able to cleanse the spirit and renew one's marrow, allowing someone to be reborn anew and massively strengthening the body of a martial artist. It was a spiritual pill that not even money could buy. In the fiery wind city, it had only appeared a few times in the last 1,000 years. In the history of 1,000 years in the fiery wind city, it had only appeared a few times. With the marrow cleansing pole, the problems from my frail and weak body, as well as my blocked meridians, will see a huge improvement. Lu Ming felt extremely fervent and excited. He took a deep breath and shut the jade bottle. He carefully placed it aside and grabbed the 3 books to take a look. They were 3 books about martial arts techniques. The True War Dragon Technique, the Flame Dragon Fist, and the Dragon Serpent Steps. Lu Ming flipped open the True War Dragon technique first. The True War Dragon technique was a divine-level martial arts technique. Cultivating it to the highest level would grant you the might of a war dragon, allowing you to be unparalleled and dominate the land. Divine level technique. Lu Ming's eyes widened as his breathing stiffened. Martial arts techniques were usually categorized in 5 levels: celestial, land, mystical, yellow, and unqualified. And for every level, there were also inferior and superior qualities. The celestial level was the highest level. The unqualified level, as the name suggested, was the lowest level. But there was actually another level above the celestial level, the divine level. But the divine level was merely a legend. Lu Ming had never heard of anyone who possessed a divine-level martial arts technique. To his knowledge, the highest level of technique that the Lu family owned was only of superior yellow level. Now, with a book containing a divine-level cultivation method in front of Lu Ming, how could he not be surprised? How could he not be excited? However, it was a pity that the True War Dragon technique only had the first stage of the cultivation method, which would only allow him to get to the state of opening his meridian. The next realm of cultivation would require the second stage of the cultivation method. The second stage of the cultivation method was on the second platform, past the 99 steps. There was also another chest there. Lu Ming flipped through the pages. On the final page, he noticed a row of words. If one wishes to cultivate the second stage of the True War Dragon technique, one must open up 3 divine meridians. Forcibly cultivating the second stage without doing so will unquestionably result in death by meridian explosion. Lu Ming took a sharp breath. Weren't the requirements for this cultivation a little too high? Martial artists' cultivation were categorized into Novice Realm, Warrior Realm, Master Realm, Grandmaster Realm, Leader Realm, and King Realm. Novice Realm was the basics of cultivation for martial artists. It was also the easiest. The human body had 9 meridians and 81 acupuncture points. The first 3 meridians were called the man meridians, the next 3 meridians were called the land meridians, while the last 3 meridians were called the sky meridians. When a martial artist opens up all 9 meridians of the man, sky, and land meridians, they would be able to step into the next realm, warrior realm, and become a true martial artist. But there were another 3 meridians above the 9 meridians, called the divine meridians. The number of people who could manage to open up all divine meridians was ridiculously low. Lu Yao, who had only opened up 1 divine meridian, had shaken the entire Fiery Wind City. The Elder Council immediately approved her to be the lord of the Lu family. This was evidence enough. I must open up all 3 divine meridians for the divine level cultivation techniques. Lu Ming clenched his fists for a moment and started to go through the other 2 manuals. For the other 2 books, one of them was a fist art, which was of inferior yellow level. The other book was a body art, which was also of inferior yellow level. Although they were just inferior yellow level martial arts techniques, it would still be hard to find something similar, even for the Lu family. Setting the manuals down, Lu Ming picked up the marrow-cleansing pills again. He popped the lid open and swallowed the marrow-cleansing pill in one go. The strong effects of the medicine dissolved in his body and seeped into Lu Ming's muscles, skeleton, and organs. It started to slowly improve Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming could hear even the slight vibrations emitting from his skeleton, as well as the squirming of his muscles. His body was heating up as black strands of impurities were expelled from his body. His body continuously grew stronger. His meridians that were once blocked and withered were now active and lively. Chapter 3. The condensation and refining of essential qi. It was almost noon of the second day by the time all medicinal properties of the marrow-cleansing pill were thoroughly refined. Lu Ming did not sleep a wink the entire night, but he was not sleepy at all. On the contrary, he felt refreshed and full of strength. One marrow-cleansing pill completely transformed him. Lu Ming's body was stronger than an ordinary young man, His meridians were also no longer blocked and was full of flexibility and vitality. It was just that there were layers of thick, sticky grime on his body from the impurities that were purged out of him, and it was very uncomfortable. A thought came to mind and Lu Ming was back in his room. He carefully opened the door and walked out to find Li Ping and Qiu Yu gone, probably out to buy food. Lu Ming went towards the well in the yard, stood by it, and drew water to rinse the grime off his body. After a change of clean clothes, he immediately felt pleasantly refreshed in both body and mind. Soon after, Li Ping and Qiu Yu came back. They saw Lu Ming and stared at him in surprise. At that moment, Lu Ming looked robust, which was far from his usual sickly and feeble look. No wonder they were surprised. "Ming, are your injuries better?" Li Ping asked as she carefully inspected Lu Ming. "Yeah, young lord, you look a little different than usual," Qiu Yu remarked while she innocently blinked. "Mother, I don't know why, but after being injured this time, I was able to cultivate a bit of essential qi out of the blue after practicing the qi condensation art last night. I'm feeling a little better as a result of that." Lu Ming chuckled. "What? You were able to cultivate essential qi, Ming?" Upon hearing what Lu Ming had to say, Li Ping was ecstatic. Her eyes brimmed with happy tears. Lu Ming did not tell Li Ping anything about the Supreme Shrine since there were divine-level martial arts techniques in it, and if word got out, all three of them would be in big trouble. Changes happened to his body after he devoured the marrow-cleansing pill. If there was no explanation, Li Ping and Qiu Yu would definitely notice something amiss, so he revealed a small part of it. He managed to cultivate essential qi. "Ming, that's great, that's great." Tears of excitement welled up in Li Ping's eyes. Although it was just merely cultivating essential qi and was a far cry from competing against a blood meridian martial artist or even being associated with an ordinary martial artist, she was still so glad for Lu Ming. "Young master, you're going to have to protect my lady and me next time then," Qiu Yu chirped while beaming with joy. Li Ping and Qiu Yu got to cooking, and in no time, delicious aromas filled the air around them. The three of them sat down together gleefully for a simple meal of a meat dish with 2 vegetable dishes. "Ming, you're still not well. Have more meat to help repair your body," Li Ping said as she vigorously filled Lu Ming's bowl with meat. "Mother, Qiu Yu, you two eat too," Lu Ming replied. Ever since news went out 6 years ago about Lu Ming's father, Lu Yuntian's murder, both Li Ping and Lu Ming's living conditions deteriorated over the years. Since the allowances given by the Lu tribe decreased over time, it was a rarity to have a meat dish. Even so, Li Ping and Qiu Yu would give up their portions for Lu Ming, especially Qiu Yu, who was going through puberty without sufficient nutrients, resulting in her looking more frail than she would have been. For martial artists to practice their art, they would require a large amount of strength and energy and therefore would be more particular with what they ate. Lu family's martial artists with awakened blood meridians were not just eating the meat of the ordinary beasts, instead, they ate the meat of demonic beasts. Other than that, the highly talented ones consumed a daily dosage of dragon tiger pills, a type of pill refined from adding the blood and powdered bones of demonic beasts to countless valuable herbs. The dragon tiger pill contained a tremendous amount of refined qi that could strengthen not only martial artists' muscles, bones, meridians and organs, but also be converted to essential qi to aid and improve one's cultivation. Nutrients obtained from the way Lu Ming was eating was far from sufficient. "Ming, you've already cultivated essential qi, and these dishes are far from enough. I have 8 dragon tiger pills here with me. Take them with you, use them for your cultivation." Li Ping took out a bottle meticulously and handed it to Lu Ming. Dumbfounded, Lu Ming did not expect Li Ping to possess 8 dragon tiger pills. "Mother, dragon tiger pills cost 100 Asilavir taels each. Where did you get so much money?" Lu Ming asked doubtfully. "I have my ways, of course. Initially, I bought it for you to improve your health and physique. It came at just the right time, since you're able to cultivate essential qi now." Li Ping smiled. "Young lord, my lady sold her dragon and phoenix bangles for 8 of these dragon tiger pills," Qiu Yu added, as if she could not take it any longer. "Qiu Yu?" Li Ping chided, as though to rebuke Qiu Yu for revealing too much. Mingner, she continued, don't worry about it, go ahead with your cultivation. As long as you can cultivate essential chi, and be strong and healthy, what is a pair of dragon and phoenix bangles compared to that? Mother. Lu Ming felt a lump in his throat as he clenched the bottle of dragon tiger pills tightly in his hands. The dragon and phoenix bangles were a token of love from Lu Yuntian to Li Ping all those years ago. Lu Ming knew how much those bangles meant to Li Ping, and she sold it for the sake of his health. Mother, take my word for it, I'll be a powerhouse, and I'll protect you with my strength. I won't let anyone upset you. Lu Ming silently vowed in his heart, his gaze determined and unwavering. After the meal, Lu Ming went back to his room with the dragon tiger pills clutched in his hand, and headed toward the Supreme Shrine. Upon entering the Supreme Shrine, Lu Ming fixed his eyes on the second platform beyond the 99 steps, and there was a dark bronze box, similar to the one he saw on the first platform. If the first black steel box held the first stage of the true war dragon technique, the flame dragon fist, the dragon serpent steps and the marrow cleansing pill, what could be in the second box? Fueled by immense curiosity, Lu Ming made his way towards the stairs. As he was about to ascend to the second platform from the 99th step, he realized he could not, no matter how much he tried to. There was an invisible force preventing him from doing so. Could it be from my lack of a certain level of cultivation? Lu Ming retreated dejectedly. He sat in a lotus position, took out a dragon tiger pill, popped it into his mouth, and started cultivating. As he swallowed the dragon tiger pill, he felt a burning sensation along his spine which swiftly became a vortex, absorbing the medicinal properties of the dragon tiger pill as a whole. Then, he felt waves after waves of pure energy coming from his spine. So fast? Lu Ming was first astonished, but euphoria quickly came after. It usually took a day or two for ordinary people to completely refine the medicinal properties of a dragon tiger pill, but he refined it completely almost instantly. All thanks to that growing blood meridian. What a phenomenal sight! This growing blood meridian not only had a second-level blood meridian-like rate of absorbing spiritual energy, but it could also refine pills at an alarmingly fast rate. Alright, let's start the opening up of meridians. Right away, Lu Ming calmed his state of mind and started operating the true war dragon technique toward opening up the first of 3-man meridians. Surges of energy controlled by Lu Ming hammered towards the first meridian. Boom! Boom! It sounded like deafening roars were emitting from within his body, and one by one, the acupuncture points opened up. When he needed more energy, Lu Ming would swallow another dragon tiger pill. Just like that, he managed to refine all 8 of the dragon tiger pills completely when evening came, and from it, he opened up all 3-man meridians. The opening up of one's meridians was separated into different parts: beginner, mid, and top. Opening up the first 3-man meridians were known as the beginner-novice realm. The next 3-man meridians were mid-novice realm. The state of open meridians were known as the foundation of martial artists, and it was also the easiest. Undoubtedly, the level of difficulty was different for everyone. For a normal blood meridian martial artist, it could take up from a month to a year for all 9 meridians to be opened up for sure. However, it was not the same for ordinary martial artists. Some took a lifetime to open all 9 meridians, some probably died knowing they could never achieve it. For the likes of Lu Ming, who opened up 3 meridians within an afternoon, were few and far between. If news got out, it would certainly blow their minds away. This true war dragon technique and the growing blood meridian with phenomenal characteristics were tightly entwined. The true war dragon technique, a divine-level martial arts technique partnered with the growing blood meridian that could refine pills, instantly contributed to such a miracle. Lu Ming felt the true war dragon chi coursing in all 3 meridians, and he was filled with delight and enthusiasm. After dinner, Lu Ming quickly entered the Supreme Shrine again and started his cultivation. He was currently cultivating Flame Dragon Fist. A martial arts technique was an attacking technique derived from the combination of essential chi flowing in and through one's muscles and bones. Different martial arts techniques required a different flow of essential chi in and through one's muscles and bones, hence why different martial art techniques had different effects, ways of forming, and wielded drastically different power. All these required one to have an intense level of control over the usage of essential qi and one's body that could not be achieved in a short span of time. Without years and years of practice and honing such techniques, it was nearly impossible to perfect any type of martial art technique. As the martial art technique and the powers it wielded increased in levels, it demanded a higher control of one's body and the essential qi in it. Lu Ming positioned himself and began cultivating. There was chanting coming from the palace above him, and it cleared his mind immensely. Some insights for Flame Dragon Fist flashed continually across his mind. He willed the flow of essential qi towards his feet, and allowed it to control the muscles and bones of his feet. Ha! Lu Ming emitted a soft cry and stepped forward. Strength surged from his feet into his lower back and spine, with a twist of the spine, like a humongous dragon. A bigger surge of strength gushed from his waist towards his hands. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and the amount of energy that exploded shook the air around with its roar. First glance of the pathway. Exhilaration flashed before Lu Ming's eyes. The cultivation of martial art techniques, depending on its level of comprehension and practice, was divided into 6 stages. First glance of the pathway, modest achievement, outstanding dexterity, mastery of technique, perfect divine-like usage, and one with the martial art. 6 different stages that were necessary to take one step at a time, and it was almost impossible to accomplish in just a mere stroke. The higher the grade of the martial art technique, the harder it was to go up to another stage. Lu Ming never would have thought that he could achieve first stage in his first time cultivating the Flame Dragon Fist. This was an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique, and for the ordinary, it would take at least a few months to grasp its basic concepts and principles. The chanting from the palace was a huge aid in my cultivation of martial arts technique, Lu Ming thought as he looked at the palace that was beyond all those steps. He deduced that the most important factor of his exponential speed in cultivation was the chanting and his power of understanding, which he did not think was weak. Now that there were such amazing results, Lu Ming naturally worked harder in his cultivation. His process of opening up meridians slowed down drastically without the Dragon Tiger Pill. Lu Ming was still able to open up the 4th meridian, entering into mid-novice realm. He was also able to unlock the 2nd stage of comprehension and cultivation of the Flame Dragon Fist technique, modest achievement. However, the blood meridian had yet to be fully grown. It was still in an almost stagnant growth phase. Lu Ming retreated from the Supreme Shrine and walked out his front door with a smile, only to see a red-eyed Qiu Yu coming back from the outside. "Young lord, could you ask my lady to come back, please? She's been kneeling at the lees for a few hours now," Qiu Yu pleaded, almost in tears. What's going on? Let's go." Lu Ming and Qiu Yu rushed out the door. On their way, Qiu Yu filled Lu Ming in on what happened. Ever since Li Ping knew that Lu Ming could cultivate essential qi, she was very happy. To cultivate and learn martial arts, its methods and cultivation techniques were needed, so Li Ping thought of borrowing a few types of martial arts cultivation techniques from the Lu family library for Lu Ming, but the guardian of the Lu family library was the first branch elder's man, and shun Li Ping with a mere "Lu Ming is trash." With no way around it, Li Ping paid Lu Chuan and the first branch elder a visit, and kneeled to beg them, but to no avail. They did not even spare Li Ping a martial arts technique of unqualified level. Out of wits, Li Ping went back to the Li family, hoping to obtain a martial arts technique from them. The Li family, a small tribe in Fiery Wind City, Li Ping's maiden home, which was under the leadership of Li Ping's eldest brother, Lu Ming's uncle. Lu Ming's uncle denied Li Ping's request with the excuse of Lu Ming being a Lu family descendant, therefore it was not appropriate for the Li family to lend an outsider their martial arts technique. Li Ping did not know what to do next, but to kneel pleading at the main hall of the Li family home in hopes of getting just one martial arts technique. Damn it! Lu Ming roared in his heart as the flames of anger engulfed him. Chapter 4. Mountain of Beasts. In Fiery Wind City, The Lu family was true to its reputation of being a leviathan amongst families. No other family was able to come close. The Li family was originally a small unknown family. Soon after, as Li Ping was married to Lu Yuntian, the Lu family's lord at the time, the Li family took advantage of the Lu family's influence to rise to the top, their power ever increasing. Lu Ming remembered that back then, the Li family had treated Li Ping and him benevolently. But after the incident involving Lu Yuntian, the Li family's attitude towards the mother and her son changed, especially after Lu Ming's grandfather passed away. His uncle was now the lord of the family, who further estranged the duo, to the point where they turned a blind eye on them. Such was the fickleness of human nature and the reality of the world. In the main courtyard of the Li family, Li Ping was kneeling on the floor, her body shivering ever so slightly. There were many juniors from the Li family gesturing, surrounding her on all sides. Above the courtyard, a pot-bellied middle-aged man said as he coolly gazed at Li Ping, "Little sister, how long do you plan on kneeling? Aren't you embarrassed?" He was Li Ping's brother, Li Fu. "I'm begging you, brother." It was not easy for Ming'er to cultivate essential qi. "He's your blood-related nephew, please give him a few martial art manuals." Li Ping was pleading with tears swirling in her eyes. "Little sister, allow me to say something that you might dislike. Lu Ming has had a frail and weak body ever since he was born. He's also unable to awaken a blood meridian. Even if he's lucky enough to cultivate a strand of essential qi, what use is there? He won't be making any significant accomplishments in the future. Why not just let him peacefully live out his life as a normal person? Furthermore, let me tell you that the Lu family's first branch elder has already talked to me and put me in my place. Little sister, it's hard on me too. Helping you means that I'll offend the first branch elder." Li Fu murmured, "I'm begging you, brother. I don't hope that Ming'er will have any great achievements. I'm content as long as he can become a martial artist and have a strong, healthy body. Brother, I swear this is my last request to you. I'll never make things difficult for you again in the future," Li Ping continued pleading. Li Fu furrowed his brows and pondered for a moment. He took a book out and tossed it before Li Ping. "For the sake of our relationship as siblings for so many years, take this 3-sword slash. Although it's unqualified level, it's enough for Lu Ming. Never come back to trouble me again," he said. "Mother!" At that moment, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu made it to the scene. Lu Ming lifted Li Ping from the ground. He could feel that her body was vibrating, clearly because she had been kneeling for so long. "Ming'er, aren't you going to say thank you to your uncle?" Li Ping told Lu Ming as she gazed at Li Fu. "Thank him? We don't need their handouts. Mother, let's go back." Lu Ming was filled with anger. Lu Ming did not even glance at the martial arts manual. He carried his mother and left the Li family residence. So ungrateful. He was only lucky enough to cultivate the slightest bit of essential qi, but he thinks himself a genius. He's just trash. The Li family's juniors did not stop sneering. Lu Ming did not pay attention to them. He was powerless. There was nothing for him to say. If he said too much, it would instead earn him their disdain. However, Lu Ming swore that he would one day shut everyone's mouths with facts. After leaving the Li family residence, Li Ping sighed. "Ming'er, you're too impulsive. That was a martial arts manual. As long as you're able to become a martial artist, it would be worth it for me to suffer through any amount of grievance." Lu Ming stood up straight like a sword. He said with firm conviction in his eyes, "Mother, even without handouts from the Li family, I'll still be able to become a martial artist, and a powerhouse at that." After returning to their residence, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and placed even more effort into cultivating. He finished cultivating the Flame Dragon Fist first, then continued cultivating the Dragon Serpent Step. The Dragon Serpent Step was a mysterious body art. After cultivating it, his movements were similar to dragons and serpents, nimble and as fast as lightning. With the help of the chanting from the palace, Lu Ming was progressing with astounding speed. He could already get a taste of its power after cultivating it twice. Whoosh! Lu Ming's twisting movements were like dragons and serpents. With a twist of his hips and a single step, he had traveled over 3 meters. The distance of 3 meters was equal to 1 foot. Reaching the first stage of the dragon serpent step, I can get a taste of its power. I can travel 1 foot in a single step. On the second stage, I will be able to reach 2 feet in 1 step. And on every new stage after that, I'll be able to add another foot to the distance traveled. I still have far to go, I must continue. Then, under Lu Ming's ascetic training, 10 days had passed. In these 10 days, Lu Ming opened up 2 meridians successively, placing him on the peak of mid-novice realm. His greatest acquisitions were the martial skills. He had fully comprehended the Flame Dragon Fist and Dragon Serpent steps, and had cultivated them both to the 3rd stage. The cultivation of essential chi is still too slow. At this rate, it'll be a long time before I can open up 3 divine meridians. Lu Ming started to ponder. If he wanted to speedily open up his meridians and proceed to step into warrior realm through condensing a chi cyclone, he would require a large amount of dragon tiger pills. However, a single dragon tiger pill would cost 100 taels of Esilavir, and one could say that Lu Ming had nothing to his name. I'm now at the peak of mid-novice realm. I've also fully comprehended 2 martial skills through cultivation. I've gained some means of defending myself, so it's time for me to head to the Mountain of Beasts to test my luck. The Mountain of Beasts was a massive mountain range that was 25 kilometers away from Fiery Wind City. Its boundary expanded over 50 kilometers, with ancient trees growing as tall as the skies. There were a multitude of spiritual herbs growing in the mountain range, attracting a large number of martial artists from Fiery Wind City to enter the mountain in search of herbs. Of course, with opportunity came risks. There were many beasts in the mountain, even demonic beasts that were much stronger than the usual beasts. Every year, many martial artists would die at the jaws of these demonic beasts. Lu Ming was not thinking of exploring the depths of the Mountain of Beasts. He only wanted to test his luck on the outskirts of the mountain, while honing on his martial skills at the same time. He came up with an excuse and bid Li Ping goodbye, heading for the Mountain of Beasts. 2 hours later, Lu Ming reached the foot of the Mountain of Beasts. The Mountain of Beasts was, itself, like a giant beast. It gave off a powerful oppressive force to any who looked at it. Lu Ming rushed into the Mountain of Beasts without hesitation. Roar! It was only a few kilometers into the area when a beast charged towards Lu Ming. It was a white-fronted tiger. It was a meter tall and over 3 meters long. Even before it arrived, a fierce aura was already surging towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and took a deep breath. Swaying to one side, he flashed to a corner. Then he circulated essential chi starting from his legs all the way to his spine, and threw a punch with his entire body's strength behind it. Flame Dragon Punch. Bam! The punch landed solidly on the tiger's neck. Its power was explosive. The tiger was struck aside. Roar! The tiger was in pain, making it even more ferocious. It roared and pounced towards Lu Ming again. Lu Ming used Dragon Serpent Step and evaded the tiger's pounce by twisting his body. He followed up with a Flame Dragon Fist, landing the punch on the tiger's waist, causing it to be flung away once more. Lu Ming was cultivating the divine level technique, the true war dragon technique. The essential chi that he cultivated was swimming in his meridians like an actual dragon, with an extreme explosive force. Although Lu Ming's cultivation level was only at the peak of mid-novice realm, his explosive force was not something that someone from the same level could match. Together with the Flame Dragon Fist, Lu Ming's fists packed at least 500 kilograms behind them. The tiger had already sustained heavy injuries after suffering 2 successive hits from Lu Ming. Blood was dripping out of its mouth. At that moment, it roared and attempted to turn and escape. Lu Ming did not let up and followed closely. A few minutes later, the tiger fled into a hole in the mountain. Lu Ming hesitated for a moment and followed in pursuit. Entering the cave, he found that the tiger was lying on the floor. It was already on its last breath, its blood constantly spilling from its jaws. That's a Esilavir bellflower, an inferior first-level spiritual herb. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes sparkled. In between the cracks of rocks in the cave, he noticed a stump of spiritual grass. There were 9 leaves, and each leaf was shaped like a bell. Spiritual grass was categorized into 9 levels, and there was inferior, mediocre, and superior for each level. An inferior first-level Esilavir bellflower harbored a massive amount of spiritual energy inside it. It was worth 300 taels of Esilavir, comparable to 3 dragon tiger pills. Lu Ming did not expect that he would be able to reap such rewards after entering the Mountain of Beasts for such a short amount of time. This trip was definitely worth it. He finished off the tiger with his next punch, and took out a rucksack which he had prepared earlier. After harvesting the Esilavir bellflowers, he kept them in the rucksack. "Brother Feng, do you really know a side route that leads into the Samophis pirates' den?" At that moment, a voice came from outside the cave. Chapter 5. Decisive Kill. Lu Ming was instantly alert. He held his breath and listened carefully. Of course. I spent an exorbitant amount of effort to convince one of the mistresses of the Samophis pirates' leader. Then, I found out about this side route through the SL*T. If I weren't on such good terms with you, I wouldn't even bring you here. Another voice rang out. Lu Ming could tell that they were 2 young men. I knew it. Brother Feng is so handsome and suave. Which lady in this world could possibly resist your charms? A slew of bootlicking words came from the first voice. Ha! Brother Feng seemed to be satisfied. There's a cave here, let's go in and take a break. We'll wait for the Lord to go against the Samophis pirates later, and take the opportunity to sneak our Slavirs into their den. Their leader's treasure will be ripe for us to reap, he said. With that said, 2 youths around the ages of 17 and 18 entered the cave. They spotted Lu Ming the moment they walked into the cave. Lu Ming, is that you? What are you doing here? One of the youths with a mole on his face exclaimed. People from the Li family. Lu Ming was stunned too. He recognized these 2 youths from Li Ping's old home. They were juniors from the Li family. One of them was Li Feng, who wore handsome features. The one with the black mole was called Li Fei. Lu Ming, our conversation just now, you heard it? Li Feng's face dimmed as he glared at Lu Ming. I guess you could say so, said Lu Ming. Lu Ming, since you heard it, then you can only blame yourself for being unlucky. Killing intent flashed across Li Feng's eyes. You want to kill me? Lu Ming's face dimmed. Lu Ming, remember to be smarter in your next life. Trash like you shouldn't be running around, or it'll be easy to find yourself on death's door. Li Feng's voice was as cool as ice, his disdain visibly present in his tone. Brother Feng, there's no need for you to make a move. I'll kill him. Li Fei took a step forward, seemingly looking down on Lu Ming. Although the 2 of them saw the tiger's corpse in the cave, they did not think that it was Lu Ming that killed it, but rather other beasts, or even a demonic beast. Did they not know what standard Lu Ming was at? Make it quick. Deal with this trash and we'll take a quick break, Li Feng nodded. Brother Feng, rest assured, it'll be over in a flash. Li Fei smiled savagely as his hand formed a claw that was aiming for Lu Ming's throat. Li Fei was in mid-novice realm and had opened up 5 meridians. His claw had at least 250 kilograms behind it. If it hits the mark, even if he did not die, Lu Ming would sustain heavy injuries. Since you want to kill me, I'll have to kill you first. Lu Ming murmured, murderous intent flashing across his eyes. His body moved and a fist came flying out. Flame Dragon Fist. He waited for the opportunity to throw a punch, and it landed directly on Li Fei's chest. Bam! Li Fei flew up like a cloth sack. He hit the walls of the cave hard, spurting blood out of his mouth before he stopped breathing. Li Fei was killed by Lu Ming in 1 hit. You killed Li Fei? How is that possible? From the sides, Li Feng was wide-eyed. Aren't you supposed to be trash? But you managed to kill Li Fei? He yelled incredulously. Trash? Hee, then please allow this trash to send you to your death. Lu Ming sneered. Send me to my death? Hilarious. I've already opened up 8 meridians. You think you can kill me? Do you think that I'm Li Fei? It's time to die. Li Fei quickly calmed down. He unsheathed his sword and swung it at Lu Ming. However, Li Feng was just a normal martial artist. His martial skills were inferior, and his level of attainment was even worse. How could he be a match for Lu Ming? Using the dragon serpent step, Li Feng's sword was dodged with a single step. A fist flew out and landed on Li Feng's stomach. Li Feng cried out in pain as he was lifted off the ground. He fell onto the floor as blood spewed from his mouth. However, Li Feng had a higher cultivation. Instead of dying, he merely sustained heavy injuries. You're so bad, but you're still calling me trash. Lu Ming walked towards Li Feng, his terrifying killing intent emanating from him. No, don't kill me, Li Feng shouted, scared out of his wits. He would have never expected that Lu Ming had grown so strong. How do I get to the side route to the Samophis pirates' den? Spit it out. Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming was actually able to kill Li Feng in a single hit. The Samophis pirates' den was the reason why he had not done so. The Samophis pirates were a band of robbers that were active around the vicinity of the Mountain of Beasts. They robbed and killed, committing all sorts of heinous acts. As a result of the complicated terrain in the mountain forest, they were never wiped out. Over the years, the Samophis pirates had plundered countless swords and treasures. If Lu Ming could get his hands on them, then he would have the money to acquire dragon tiger pills. I can tell you where the side route to the Samophis pirates' den is, but you'll have to let me off, Li Feng said with a glint in his eyes. At the same time, he was furiously yelling in his mind. Once this was over, he would be sure to exact revenge on Lu Ming. Not only him but his mother as well, she would have to suffer too. You're in no position to ask for conditions now. I'll immediately kill you if you don't tell me. Lu Ming's eyes were like ice, filled with murderous intent as he glared at Li Feng. Li Feng's heart turned cold. All right, I'll speak. At that moment, Li Feng revealed the side route to the Samophis pirates' den. I can go now, right? Li Feng asked as he finished speaking. Go? Let you go so that you can seek revenge on me? Lu Ming sneered. After saying that, he struck Li Feng's chest with his fist, killing him. Over the highs and lows of these recent years, Lu Ming had learned to understand the world. In the world of martial arts, the strong preyed on the weak. Sometimes, even if you spared someone's life, they would still take yours. As such, Lu Ming could not be soft-hearted when facing his enemies. The moment he did that, the person who would die would be him. After then, Lu Ming started searching through Li Feng and Li Fei's bodies. These two guys were really poor. Their totaled money didn't add up to 50 taels. But the martial arts manual was found on Li Feng's body. The single-stroke lightning sword was an unqualified level sword technique. Although its grade was not high, it was suitable for Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no other methods of attack apart from the flame dragon fist. It just so happened that he could learn a sword art. Lu Ming placed the martial arts manual, money, and Esilavir bellflowers into the supreme shrine. Then he exited the cave and followed Li Feng's directions to the Samophis pirates' den. The Samophis pirates' den was on the peak of a mountain that was 15 kilometers away. The peak was surrounded by sheer cliffs on 3 sides. Even demon apes would have a hard time crossing. There was only a narrow path in one direction that ascended the mountain. Lu Ming spent up to 2 hours before he got close to the peak. On the way there were a few times when he was close to encountering demonic beasts. It was a precarious journey. Demonic beasts were strong and ruthless. They were categorized into 9 levels, with each level being divided into 9 grades. As for martial artists, each realm was also divided into 9 grades, starting from warrior realm. Even if a demonic beast was the lowest grade of the lowest level, it would still be at the same level as a first-grade warrior realm martial artist. It was something that Lu Ming could not handle right now. Lu Ming was waiting nearby. From what Li Feng said, the Li family's lord, Li Fu, would lead the Li family's masters to eliminate the Samophis pirates today. Of course, It was natural that Li Fu was not so kind-hearted as to eliminate dangers for the people. His goal was the loot plundered by the Samophis pirates over the years. As expected, over 100 silhouettes appeared in the mountain forest, charging towards the Samophis pirates' den at a rapid speed. Enemy attack? A loud yell rang from the peak of the mountain. What followed was the intense shouts of conflict. It's time. Lu Ming started to move. He traversed through the mountain forest using the dragon serpent steps. He swiftly arrived at the rear end of the Samophic pirates' den. There was a hidden route that allowed him to ascend to the peak of the mountain. It was the escape route that the Samophic pirates left for them Slaviers. If there was ever a day that they could not halt their enemy's advance, they could retreat from there. Chapter 6. Lu Ming carefully scanned the area and found the road to the peak as expected. Although the path was steep, Lu Ming's cultivation was enough for him to ascend. Lu Ming followed the path and climbed towards the top with joy. After 10 minutes or so, Lu Ming reached the mountain peak. It seemed as if the Samophis pirates did not expect anyone to know of this route, so they were at ease. There was nobody guarding the area. It was quiet on the mountain peak. Everyone had probably gone to stop the Li family. Following Li Feng's description, Lu Ming headed towards the chambers of the Samophis pirates' leader. According to Li Feng, the leader hid all the loot he had gathered over the years under the bed in his chambers. If it were not because the Samophis pirates' leader's mistress needed to pretend to be a normal person to purchase goods in Fiery Wind City, which resulted in her being charmed by Li Feng, there would actually be nobody who knew where the leader hid his treasure. After some time, Lu Ming reached the Samophis pirates' leader's chambers. As expected, he found 2 large chests and a smaller one after removing the floorboards under the bed. The large chests were filled with shining Esilavir, while the smaller chest was filled with Esilavir notes. Lu Ming was overjoyed. There was no time for him to count, so he gathered all the loot into the Supreme Shrine and dashed away, retracing the route he had taken. Lu Ming did not stop after descending the mountain. He continued on and returned to Fiery Wind City. It did not matter whether the Li family won or lost this time, it was already fated to be a vain attempt. A few hours later, Lu Ming returned to the Lu family. The moment he returned, he briskly greeted Li Ping and returned to his room. He entered the Supreme Shrine and frantically started counting. The total amount shocked Lu Ming. There were 100,000 taels worth of Esilavir notes in the small chest, and 30,000 taels worth of Esilavir in the large chest combined. It was a total of 130,000 taels. Evidently, the Samophis pirates had stolen a lot of treasure from all their years of plundering. It all belonged to Lu Ming now. With all this Esilavir, I'll be able to purchase large amounts of dragon tiger pills for cultivation. Lu Yao, don't you even think about gaining control of the Lu family during the house meeting that is a month from now. Also, I'll be retaking what belongs to me. Lu Ming clenched his fists together. His eyes were filled with unyielding determination. After that, Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine and headed for Fiery Wind City's market. Fiery Wind City's market was the busiest part of the city. There were various types of shops there. Examples of such were medicine shops, weapon shops, material shops, and more. Merchants from different lands came and went. There was an endless stream of people. On the way, Lu Ming purchased a black robe as well as a black bamboo hat. He wrapped himself in the robe and hat. He was looking to purchase a large amount of dragon tiger pills. He could not let anyone discover his identity. The Elixir Hall was the Fiery Wind City's largest shop for trading medicine pills. It was comfortably wide as it spanned nearly 7,000 square meters and was 4 stories high. Apparently, the Elixir Hall had a strong background, as the mystical sword sector was backing them up. The moment he stepped into the Elixir Hall, he was immediately approached by a young lady. "Dear esteemed guest, is there something that you're looking for?" She had seen many weird customers before, so she did not find Lu Ming's black robe and hat weird. More than that, transactions were usually bigger when it came from weird customers like him. "I want to buy dragon tiger pills. What's the price over here?" Lu Ming purposely lowered his pitch so that it would sound deeper, making him seem like a middle-aged man around the age of 30. Esteemed guest, an inferior first-level dragon tiger pill costs 100 Asylavir taels for each pill. A mediocre first-level dragon tiger pill costs 300 Asylavir taels for each pill. A superior first-level dragon tiger pill costs 1,000 Asylavir taels for each pill. May I know what grade you're purchasing, and how much of it? The female assistant asked. Chapter 7. Exponential Growth. After returning home from the market, Lu Ming could not wait to enter the Supreme Shrine and opened one of the sandalwood boxes. 30 dragon tiger pills lay neatly inside it. These were the inferior first-level dragon tiger pills. Inferior first-level dragon tiger pills were enough to open up the 7th to 9th meridians. As for the mediocre first-level dragon tiger pills, Lu Ming intended to use them to open up the 3 divine meridians. He took a dragon tiger pill and swallowed it. As he swallowed the dragon tiger pill, a faint red light flashed out. He felt a burning sensation along his spine which swiftly became a vortex, completely absorbing the dragon tiger pill. Then, he felt continuous waves of pure energy coming from his spine. What's with my blood meridians? It can refine pills at such a frightening speed. Using his mind, Lu Ming controlled the energy pulsing within him, guiding it along his opened-up meridians. He formed it into streams of dragon-like essential qi and gushed it towards the 7th meridian. The dragon-like essential qi were acutely edged and extremely strong. Instantly, a big acupuncture point on the 7th meridian was unlocked. One by one, the unimpeded force unlocked the big acupuncture points. When his essential qi ran low, Lu Ming would swallow a dragon tiger pill, convert its energy to essential qi, and continue the unlocking. The 7th to the 9th meridians were known as the sky meridians, and unlocking them was certainly not as easy as the meridians before them. In the next 2 days, it took Lu Ming's continuous refining of 24 more dragon tiger pills to finally open up all 3 sky meridians. It immediately brought Lu Ming's cultivation to the peak of top novice realm. At this stage, the gathering and cowling of qi in the dantian was common practice for breaking through the novice realm. Lu Ming most certainly would not do so yet. He aimed to unlock all 3 divine meridians, then he would break through the novice realm. The divine meridians were not easy to unlock after all. It could also be said to be nearly impossible. Lu Ming did not rush the opening up of the divine meridians, but consumed the remaining 6 dragon tiger pills and converted them into essential qi. As the essential qi within Lu Ming condensed and thickened after a day, Lu Ming initiated the unlocking of his divine meridians. Lu Ming popped a mediocre first-level dragon tiger pill into his mouth, and in the same manner as the previous pills, it was absorbed and refined by the blood meridians near the spine. A gush of energy a few times stronger than the inferior first-level dragon tiger pills poured into Lu Ming's body. The mediocre first-level pill lived up to its name. Lu Ming set the true war dragon technique in motion, stimulating essential qi to begin the opening up of the first divine meridian. Boom! Lu Ming felt his entire body rattle, his senses numbed with shock, but the first big acupuncture point in the first divine meridian did not budge at all. Not giving up, Lu Ming gathered his energy to continue his quest. Boom! Boom! After 7 tries, the first acupuncture point in the first divine meridian was finally unlocked. A swell of essential qi gushed in. One at a time, light spots began to appear on Lu Ming's body until there were 81 light spots. These were his unlocked acupuncture points. Right after, the 82nd light spot was illuminated, shining brighter than the rest. Only one big acupuncture point unlocked, but the essential qi within me is significantly more abundant. Let's continue. Lu Ming carried on with his unlocking. However, divine meridians were divine meridians. The energy they demanded was extremely high. It took 3 consecutive days for 9 big acupuncture points in the first divine meridian to be unlocked, and it used up all 36 mediocre first-level dragon tiger pills. Such enormous strength, the power I possess from using my essential chi alone should pack at least 750 kilograms, I suppose? Lu Ming's eyes sparkled. Formerly, when his cultivation was only at the peak of mid-novice realm, he merely packed 500 kilograms in his punch if he included the power that came from the flame dragon fist. Without it, the power he possessed from using essential chi alone should only be around 300 or 400 kilograms. It had doubled in amount. For an ordinary martial artist who was at the peak of top novice realm, the explosive power from their essential chi alone should be around 500 kilograms. If they gathered and coiled their essential chi and broke through novice realm, the explosive power from their essential chi would have increased to 1,000 kilograms. 1,000 kilograms could be likened to the strength of a bull. The current way to calculate power did not include the martial arts techniques and the blood meridians. Should they be included, it would total up to a larger amount. I've finished up all the Dragon Tiger pills, but I don't think I'll rush to buy more for now. I've been leveling up my cultivation too quickly these past few days. I think I need time to strengthen and consolidate it while I practice my martial arts techniques. The cultivation of martial arts was not to be rushed. If the level up happened too quickly, it would result in a shaky foundation with a tainted essential chi base, and that was why Lu Ming decided to first spend some time to reinforce his foundation and all that he had built, instead of getting more Dragon Tiger pills to continue unlocking the remaining 2 divine meridians. Lu Ming proceeded to cultivate the Flame Dragon Fist and the Dragon Serpent Steps. In the blink of an eye, 7 days have passed. Today, Lu Ming took the chance to cultivate the Flame Dragon Fist in the yard while Li Ping and Qiu Yu were not around. Bush, bush. The force of the punches howled like the wind, Lu Ming's body writhed like a gigantic dragon, and with every punch, its roars exploded in the air. Ha! To conclude, Lu Ming punched a skull-sized rock in the yard as he exhaled and emitted a yell. Bam! The rock burst into several pieces. The cultivation of the martial art technique's 4th stage, mastery of techniques. Lu Ming completed his stance with joy etched on his face. After practicing and cultivating for 7 consecutive days, he was finally at the 4th stage of the martial arts technique cultivation for the Flame Dragon Fist. Why, young lord, why gotten so strong? A crisp, clear voice rang unannounced from the door in disbelief. Qiu Yu. Lu Ming was stunned. He did not expect his rare occasion of cultivating martial arts techniques in his yard to be witnessed by Qiu Yu. At the same time, Qiu Yu looked at the rock splintered by Lu Ming and turned her gaze towards Lu Ming. With tears in her eyes, she rushed to Lu Ming's side, clutched his hand tightly and exclaimed, "That was amazing, young lord, you've become so strong, you're finally a powerhouse in the martial arts. If my lady knew about this, I can't imagine how happy she'd be." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke. Even though Qiu Yu was frail, she was still a beauty, a weeping beauty at this moment if that was the case. Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but soften as he reached out to wipe the tears away from Qiu Yu's face and said, "Qiu Yu, my cultivation paid off, shouldn't you be happy? Why are you crying?" "Young lord, I am happy for you." Qiu Yu feigned anger, only to realize how both her hands were still holding tightly onto Lu Ming's hand. She felt the warmth emitted from the palm of his hand as her heart skipped a beat. She immediately hopped a few steps back with a blush on her face, much like a frightened deer caught in the headlights. Seeing Qiu Yu's blushing, bashful face with her eyes still sparkling with tears, Lu Ming blurted, "Qiu Yu, you're so beautiful." Upon hearing it, the blush on Qiu Yu's face deepened into a bright, apple-like red. With her head held down, she murmured, "What is this you're saying, young lord?" Qiu Yu, you know, I've had some supernatural encounters recently, and that's how I've gotten these skills, but I can't exactly tell you what happened yet." Lu Ming coughed dryly and changed the topic. Qiu Yu blinked her tearful doe eyes, cast a deep glance towards Lu Ming, and asked, "Young lord, can we tell my lady about this then?" "Not for now," replied Lu Ming. "All right then, you have my word." As Qiu Yu finished, she pondered for a while and seemed to have decided on something. "Young lord, I want to ask you a favor of you," she said. What is it? Asked Lu Ming. Chiao Yu bit her lip and uttered, Young lord, see, can you teach Chiao Yu how to cultivate martial arts? Shocked, Lu Ming confirmed, Chiao Yu, you want to cultivate martial arts? Yes, young lord. Chiao Yu wants to learn to cultivate martial arts, so I can repay father and mother's kindness, and also, Chiao Yu wishes to assist young lord and her lady however she can, answered Chiao Yu. Lu Ming nodded. He was quite informed of Chiao Yu's background. Chiao Yu's parents adopted her even when they lived poorly on the outskirts of Fiery Wind City. Due to poverty, Chiao Yu was sold to the Lu family when she was 8 and became Li Ping's maidservant. Chiao Yu, being a year older, grew up together with Lu Ming and they were as close as siblings. Okay then, Chiao Yu, but your body is too weak, so you will need health replenishing pills to restore your health, then I'll give awakening your meridians a try, Lu Ming promised Chiao Yu with a smile. You've agreed, young lord? Great. Chiao Yu was elated, and while she nearly jumped for joy right into Lu Ming's arms, she held it in with a blush on her face. Chiao Yu, I was about to head out to buy some things. Let's head out together so we can get you some health replenishing pills too. Lu Ming chuckled. Chapter 8. This is too low grade. The Celestial Army Pavilion, a place in Fiery Wind City Market where weapons were sold. They had both weapons for ordinary citizens and spiritual weapons for martial artists. Spiritual weapons, forged from precious materials, were as sharp as razors, so strong they could easily slice through metal like mud. They were the perfect weapons for martial artists since they could also enhance their wielders' fighting abilities. Spiritual weapons just like Lu Ming's father's sword, the same one that had been taken by Lu Chuan. Spiritual weapons were categorized into 9 different levels, and within each level, they were broken down into inferior, mediocre, and superior quality. This round, Lu Ming intended to purchase a spiritual weapon to practice his sword technique with. Lu Ming and Chiao Yu entered the Celestial Army Pavilion together. They were greeted by the sight of lovely young maidens in 2 rows, salesgirls tasked to serve guests. However, when Lu Ming and Chiao Yu entered the store, these salesgirls frowned. No one would step out to serve them. Lu Ming and Chiao Yu were not dressed expensively. Lu Ming wore simple, coarse-clothed clothes while Chiao Yu donned maidservant clothes. As experienced as these salesgirls were, they could already tell that the 2 that just walked in were not wealthy. No one wanted to serve these 2. Lu Ming frowned slightly, then went on to check out the items sold, unaffected. Most of the items sold at the Celestial Army Pavilion were ordinary weapons. First-level spiritual weapons sold were scarce, and they were mostly of the inferior quality. There were only a few mediocre quality ones. After looking through the entire shop, Lu Ming only found 3 mediocre quality spiritual weapons. Lu Ming did not fancy any of them. If he were to make a purchase, he wanted something a little better. How may I help you, young lord? I could recommend something for you. A timid voice rang. Lu Ming turned to see a young, round-faced, rosy-cheeked but slightly flustered salesgirl facing him. She was new to her job as a salesgirl at the store. She was timid by nature and had a poor sales performance. She had mustered her courage to step up since she saw that no one wanted to serve Lu Ming. The girls had no sales this month. To be serving these types of people, she must be desperate. From my years of experience, it would be a surprise if that lad can even afford a metal sword worth 10 taels of Esilavir. Isn't that so? I'd rather stand and rest here than serve country bumpkins like him. Not too far away, a few salesgirls looked in Lu Ming's direction and whispered amongst themselves ears. It was not very loud, but it did not escape Lu Ming and Chiao Yu's ears. Young lord, Chiao Yu tugged Lu Ming's sleeves. It's fine, Lu Ming flashed Chiao Yu a smile. These were just ordinary people and he did not want to stoop to their level. As he was about to ask the round-faced salesgirl if there were any higher quality spiritual weapons, he was interrupted by an unharmonious voice. Yo yo yo, isn't that Lu Ming, eldest young Lord Lu? What in the world brings you here? The voice was followed by a guy and a girl as they walked in. The guy had a pockmarked face, was not very tall in height, but sported a glamorous Essilivir robe. The girl looked above average but had an air of arrogance around her as she walked in with her nostrils in the air. Lu Bing, Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expressions changed. The Lu family consisted of 8 branches, which were the main branch and the 7 other sub-branches. Lu Ming knew these 2 people. One of them was the son of the 5th sub-branch, and the other was the daughter of the 6th sub-branch. The one that spoke was Lu Bing. Lu Bing sized up Lu Ming and said with disdain, "Why, Lu Ming, I heard that you failed to awaken your blood meridian and you can't even cultivate essential qi, but here you are wanting to buy a weapon like the others? Are you looking for a kitchen knife to slaughter some chickens with? Ha! Move aside, pockmarked Lu, you're blocking the way." Lu Ming replied indifferently. What did you say, Lu Ming? Being called pockmarked was Lu Bing's biggest pet peeve, and being addressed by Lu Ming in such a way in front of so many young and beautiful maidens, especially in front of Lu Mei, had immediately enraged him. "Pockmarked face, I said move aside." Lu Ming exclaimed coldly. "You looking to die, Lu Ming? Do you still think that you're the young lord of the main branch? Once the house meeting is over, Miss Yaoer would be the lord of the family. You are nothing, you understand me? You dare offend me? Come on, suck up to me right now, kowtow and apologize. I might still bestow upon you a bowl of rice then." Lu Bing barked like a distressed wild dog. Lu Ming stared at him coldly, as if he was looking at an idiot. "Just you wait, Lu Ming." Lu Bing's eyes flashed with sinister cold rage. He took a deep breath in an attempt to calm himself down. "Right after, Lu Ming, I was right about you wanting to buy a kitchen knife to slaughter chickens, wasn't I? If that's true, what quality items can someone like you afford?" Lu Bing sneered. "Young Master Lu Bing, thank you for gracing us with your presence. Please let me be of assistance too, for absolutely anything at all." Lu Bing was already surrounded by several salesgirls, cajoling smiles on all their faces. Hee. Looking at the only round-faced salesgirl by Lu Ming's side, Lu Bing scoffed proudly and said in an intentionally loud voice, "Today is my sister Lu Mei's birthday, and I'd like to buy her a spiritual weapon as a gift. Tell me, what spiritual weapons do you have to recommend?" He placed extra emphasis on the words, spiritual weapon. Young Master Lu Bing wants to buy spiritual weapons. Instantly, the eyes of the salesgirls sparkled and pitched their recommendations to Lu Bing with all that they could. "Young Master Lu Bing, what do you think of this pine sword? An inferior first-level spiritual weapon with pine marks inside. This Essilivir Eye sword is fairly well made too." Upon looking at these spiritual weapons, Lu Mei shook her head in distaste, indicating that she did not fancy any of them. Lu Bing gritted his teeth and exclaimed, "Don't hoodwink me with these inferior first-level spiritual weapons. Bring out your mediocre first-level spiritual weapons." Young Master Lu Bing wants to purchase mediocre first-level spiritual weapons? The salesgirls shook with excitement and their eyes shone as brightly as the sun. They circled Lu Bing and promoted crazily, as if their lives depended on it. A mediocre quality spiritual weapon was worth at least 800 taels of Essilivir, and the commission would not be small. How could they not be excited? On Lu Ming's side, the round-faced salesgirl looked over enviously. She was naturally timid and shy. She could never compete with those salesgirls. After rounds of intense promotion, Lu Bing chose the light breeze sword, a mediocre first-level spiritual weapon that was worth 1,000 taels of Essilivir. Lu Bing waved 2 Essilivir notes of 500 taels in the air intentionally as he glanced at Lu Ming with a look of disdain on his face, and paid the amount in full with a dull ache in his heart. "But aren't you picking the weapons you want to buy yet, Lu Ming? Or are these weapons too low grade for you?" "Ha!" laughed Lu Bing haughtily. "Of course, brother Lu Bing, he's the young lord of the main branch. How could mediocre first-level spiritual weapons be to his liking?" giggled Lu Mei as she inspected her light breeze sword with immense fondness. "How did you two know?" "I'd sincerely thought that the weapons here are too low grade," said Lu Ming out of the blue, feigning surprise. He turned to the round-faced salesgirl and said, "Miss, Do you have any superior first-level spiritual weapons? Let me have a look at them. What? Pin-drop silence swept across the store. Everyone, including the round-faced salesgirl, Chiu Yu, the other salesgirls, Lu Bing and Lu Mei, gawked at Lu Ming. What? Lu Ming, you want to buy a superior first-level spiritual weapon? Don't you know how much it costs? Don't just talk empty, can you afford it? Lu Bing's eyes flashed as he yelled at Lu Ming. A superior first-level spiritual weapon was easily worth a few times the amount of a mediocre first-level spiritual weapon. He refused to believe, even if his life depended on it, that Lu Ming could afford such a thing. Young lord, did you say that you want to buy a superior first-level spiritual weapon? Asked the round-faced salesgirl incredulously. Why, don't you have any superior first-level spiritual weapons here? Or are you afraid that I haven't got enough money? Lu Ming grinned and took out a stack of Esilavir notes, each Esilavir note worth 500 taels, and there were at least 10 or more Esilavir notes. Where did you get so much money? Staring at the stack of Esilavir notes in Lu Ming's hand, Lu Bing's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Lu Mei and the few other salesgirls too almost had their eyes popped out of their sockets. Chiu Yu gaped and gawked at Lu Ming. It seems like young master did have a supernatural encounter, thought Chiu Yu's author wrote, which is Tang Fong, but from context the author should be referring to Lu Ming. Chapter 9. Chapter 9, Mulan once again. The round-faced salesgirl flushed in excitement as she stuttered, "Yes, we have superior first-level spiritual weapons. Please give me a moment and I will retrieve them for you." The round-faced salesgirl dashed off to the back of the store right after she finished her sentence. She returned after a while with a few burly men bringing with them 4 to 5 spiritual weapons. "Young lord, these are the superior first-level spiritual weapons. Please take a look. This one is the Aqua Fall Sword." The round-faced salesgirl took a long sword and unsheathed it. The length of the sword was 1.5 meters, a fairly thin blade, with its body like a clear spring, emitting continuous puffs of water vapor. "Good sword." Lu Ming's eyes sparkled. Should there be a comparison between the Aquafall sword and Lu Mei's light breeze sword, the latter would have felt like trash. Despite that, Lu Ming shook his head since the properties of this sword did not fit his martial art techniques, and went on looking. He browsed through a few more. Clang! The last one was named the Onyx Blade Sword. The body of the sword was a gleaming black, like it was made out of black jade, and there was a glimmer on both sides of the sword indicating its sharpness. "This is it." There was a gleam in Lu Ming's eyes as he asked, "Shopkeeper, how much for this?" "You have a good eye, young lord. This Onyx Blade Sword is a gem even within this collection of superior first-level spiritual weapons, so I won't give you an unreasonable price. Just 3,000 taels will do," answered the round-faced salesgirl. "Deal." Lu Ming took out 6 Esilavir notes worth 500 taels each without hesitating and passed it to the round-faced salesgirl. It was the money taken from the Semophic pirates anyway, so Lu Ming did not mind at all. At the side, Lu Bing's face darkened. Lu Mei looked at the light breeze sword she held in her hand, then glanced enviously at Lu Ming's onyx blade sword. The round-faced salesgirl flushed with excitement. A deal worth 3,000 taels of Esilavir, how much commission would she earn? The other salesgirls eyed the round-faced salesgirl wishfully with extreme regret in their hearts. If only they knew how loaded Lu Ming was, the round-faced salesgirl would have never stood a chance. Wishful thinking remained wishful since it was too late. All they could do was to note to them slaviers to never judge a book by its cover again. Lu Ming took his onyx blade sword in one hand and grabbed Chiu Yu's hand in another. As he was passing by Lu Bing, Lu Ming looked at Lu Mei's light breeze sword and uttered, "This kind of trash is to your liking?" When he was done, he walked out the door, guffawing as he went. "Lu Ming." Lu Bing gritted his teeth so tightly his complexion became extremely distorted. "Young master, that was so satisfying. Lu Bing, and that Lu Mei have always looked down on us and now they have a taste of their own medicine." Outside of Celestial Army Pavilion, Qiu chirped with excitement, waving her little fists in the air. Lu Ming smiled. Truth to be told, he did not care about Lu Bing at all. His target was Lu Yao. Walking along in the market, Qiu took it all in with her eyes wide open. Things sold in the market were on the expensive side, and since, throughout the years, Qiu had not visited it often, it was only natural that she was very intrigued. Lu Ming accompanied Qiu for a while, then he passed Qiu 200 taels worth of Asilavir notes saying, Qiu, use these to get some groceries and necessities. I have something I've got to do, so wait for me here when you're done. Young master, what do I say if my lady asks me where I got the money from? Asked Qiu. Just tell mother that I found some spiritual grass outside the perimeters of the Mountain of Beasts and sold it for some money, replied Lu Ming after giving it some thoughts. Qiu nodded and said, All right then, young master, I'll be on my way. Qiu held on to the money and ran off joyfully to do some shopping. Right after, Lu Ming found a secluded spot, changed into the black robe and bamboo hat, and went once more to the elixir hall. He wanted to buy another batch of dragon tiger pills, and some health-replenishing pills for Qiu. The one to serve him was, again, Mulan. Esteemed guest, you're here again? Said Mulan as she chuckled coyly upon the sight of Lu Ming. How did you know it was me? I haven't even spoken yet, said Lu Ming with his voice intentionally lowered. Giggling, Mulan sashayed over toward Lu Ming and teased, That's because of your scent, I can always tell it was you by your scent. As she spoke, her delicate button nose sniffed the air around Lu Ming. Heart-pounding, Lu Ming was barely able to remain calm as he replied, Hall Master Mu, I'm here today to buy dragon tiger pills. Mulan gave Lu Ming a side eye and said, Esteemed guest, what's the rush, or don't you want to see me? No, you've misunderstood, Hall Master Mu, I have something else I have to attend to. Lu Ming hastily waved his hands. He really wanted to get out of here as soon as he could, since he cannot handle people like Mulan. Heh, all right then, how much are you looking to buy? Mulan asked as she smiled alluringly. 120 mediocre first-level dragon tiger pills and 30 health-replenishing pills, answered Lu Ming. What, that many? This time, both Mulan and her maidservant had the shock of their lives. But, Hall Master Mu, does Elixir Hall not have that many? Lu Ming frowned. He needed to get more for the remaining 2 divine meridians, which were going to be a lot harder to unlock. Mulan cast a deep glance at Lu Ming, her smile reappeared and said, We do, of course, we do. Xiao Yi, prepare the pills. Xiao Yi nodded and went out, and in a moment, she came back with a few boxes with her. 120 mediocre first-level dragon tiger pills and 30 health-replenishing pills. Esteemed guest, 120 mediocre first-level dragon tiger pills will cost 32,400 taels after a 10% discount. We'll just take 32,000 then. Additionally, the 30 health-replenishing pills are on the house. Take them as a gift from me, said Mulan. Thank you, Hall Master Mu. Lu Ming took the pills, paid, and after a cupped fist as a sign of courtesy and gratefulness, left Elixir Hall in a rush. My lady, this person is so interesting. It's only been a little more than 10 days, and he's already done with the dragon tiger pills he bought the previous time? Or did he buy it for many people to use them together? After Lu Ming left, maidservant Xiao Yi asked curiously. I can't say for sure, but I feel like his aura has gotten a lot stronger since the last time he came here. Very interesting indeed. You stay here, I want to find out for myself which of Fiery City's family's handsome young lads that was. After the arrangement, Mulan whooshed out and was gone like the wind. A distance from Elixir Hall, Lu Ming took off his black hat and robes in a secluded place, and kept it together with the dragon tiger pills within the supreme shrine. He then headed to the place where he had agreed with Qiu, found her, and went back together with her. Unfortunately, they were stopped by Lu Bing and his 2 men in an empty alley. Li Bing's face was dark with emotions. He stared at Lu Ming and snarled, You finally decided to return, Lu Ming. I've been waiting for you. What do you want? Qiu subconsciously hid Lu Ming behind her. Lu Ming, you trash, sneered Lu Bing. You dare humiliate me in front of so many people? You obviously don't know what's good for you. I'll give you a chance. Give me all the money you have on you, kneel in front of the Lu family gate, and scream I am trash 3 times and I'll let you go. Lu Ming, with a faint smile, agreed with him. You are a piece of trash. What did you just say? You dare insult me? I will change my name if I let you go without destroying your mouth, roared Lu Bing. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Unlocking 2 Divine Meridians. In the face of Lu Bing's threats, Lu Ming calmly ordered, Piss off, a good dog doesn't block the way. You have a death wish. Shatter his mouth. Lu Bing howled furiously. Yes, young Master Bing. The 2 men behind Lu Bing were young and fit, around 16 years of age, and like Lu Bing were from the 5th branch. As they draw nearer to Lu Ming, one of them jeered, Lu Ming, do you still think that you're the heir of the blood meridian of the Lu family? The young master of the Lus? You're nothing but a piece of trash that's not even fit enough to be considered a servant. We'll help wake you up so you can see yourself clearly. You cannot afford to bark up the wrong tree. Young master. Chiao Yu's petite face whitened with fear, holding Lu Ming's sleeves tightly in her hands. Fear not, nothing but 2 dogs, and you think your young master wouldn't be able to handle it? Answered Lu Ming with a smile as he nuzzled Chiao Yu's head. Without a doubt, the 2 young men heard these words too. Then, trash. You want to die? The 2 of them roared and leaped towards Lu Ming, with their punches aimed towards Lu Ming's face with such force it carried a whistle like the wind. They may be ordinary martial artists, but one of them had unlocked 7 meridians, and the other 8. As they joined forces, it was enough to be a force to be reckoned with. The 2 men, along with Lu Bing, had a smirk on their faces, as though they could already see Lu Ming's face bruised and swollen like a pig's head. Piss back to where you came from. Right before the punches landed, Lu Ming bellowed and he delivered a slap. That slap was as fast as lightning, and before they knew it, pa-pa, 2 cries were heard as 2 silhouettes, along with a bunch of teeth and blood, flew a distance and crashed heavily on the ground. My face, my teeth. The 2 men wailed as they were on the ground, with cheeks that swelled as high as a building, teeth from their mouth half missing, and blood flowing out non-stop. Lu Bing was stunned and looked at Lu Ming, flabbergasted. Lu Ming, that trash, defeated his mighty men with a slap? How was that possible? Lu Bing, you would not stop calling me trash, and you threatened to destroy my mouth. Now, 2 of your dogs are done with their mouth redecoration. You're up next, said Lu Ming icily as he stared at Li Bing. Lu Ming, I don't know what type of blind luck you have in obtaining some treasures and gifts, enabling you to cultivate with such progress. But surely you don't think that since you've defeated these 2 pieces of trash, you'll have a chance against me? How naive, I am a blood meridian martial artist. Lu Bing took a deep breath to calm himself down. So what if Lu Ming was able to cultivate? Lu Ming was nothing but an ordinary martial artist who cannot awaken their blood meridians, while he was a blood meridian martial artist with an awakened 2nd-level blood meridian. Lu Ming, now I shall show you what it means to be a blood meridian martial artist. Lu Bing let out a roar, and behind him, red lights flashed, and instantly a majestic, gigantic wolf as red as fire appeared above his head. Flaming Wolf Fist. Lu Bing took a step forward as he howled, and pounced towards Lu Ming like a wolf. Peak of top novice realm, 2nd-level blood meridian? I'd like to see how strong it is. Lu Ming's eyes flashed brightly. On his toes, Lu Ming twisted his torso and used the flaming dragon fist. Bam! Lu Ming's and Lu Bing's fists collided. Snap! After the commotion, the sound of bones snapping could be heard clearly. Right after, Lu Bing flew backward at a speed faster than he came and fell heavily to the ground, clutching his right arm and yelling in pain. Is this all a blood meridian martial artist is capable of? Lu Ming smirked in disdain and inched towards Lu Bing with an icy gaze. Lu Bing was horrified. As he was squirming backward, he yelled, "What do you want, Lu Ming? Don't fool around, I warn you. Nothing much, just robbing you. Now, give me all the valuable things you have on you. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he said it. Don't even think about it, howled Lu Bing. Oh, if that's the case, I have no choice but to ruin your mouth then, taunted Lu Ming as he raised his foot, about to stomp on Lu Bing's face. Seeing how Lu Ming was not joking, Lu Bing was finally afraid. He yelled, Wait, I'll give you all my valuables. Honestly, Lu Bing had quite a lot of money on him. He totaled up about 3,000 taels and painfully gave it up to Lu Ming. That's it? Lu Ming sulked and kept the money with a look of distaste. Lu Bing nearly vomited blood upon hearing it. 3,000 taels and Lu Ming thought it was little? As a descendant of the Lu family, it was quite an achievement to have 3,000 taels with him. I'll let you go this time, but if there's a next time, it's not something a few taels of Esilavir can settle. Lu Ming glared coldly and left Lu Bing with those words, bringing a stunned Qiuyu with him. Lu Bing was, after all, the son of the 5th branch leader, and if Lu Ming truly did something to him, the 5th branch leader would not let it go. Lu Ming was unafraid, but he could not help but to think of Li Ping and Qiuyu. Damn it, young Master Bing, that little Lu Ming was so arrogant. Let's go back and tell the branch leader, and ask him to give Lu Ming a lesson. One of the young men, who was missing a few teeth, hobbled to Lu Bing's side and heatedly suggested. You idiot, isn't this humiliating enough? If anyone else were to know that I was defeated by Lu Ming the trash, would I still have my reputation? I warn you too, what happened here today stays here, chided Lu Bing. Yes, young Master Bing, we won't say a word. The two men nodded furiously. Huff. Lu Bing huffed indifferently and said, The house meeting is in exactly 1 month. Now that the little Lu Ming can cultivate, he will, without a doubt, go up against Lu Yao for a fight. Then, First Elder and his men will simply take action against Lu Ming. Why do we need to dirty our hands? Great idea, young Master Bing, flattered the two sidekicks. Right then, they left the scene quietly. Just as they left, an attractively slender body appeared suddenly in the alley. If it was not Mulan, who else could it be? Heh, interesting, now I know it's the Lu family's infamous young Lord Trash. Looks like you've deceived everyone. A hushed voice rang and in a blip, Mulan disappeared without a trace. Back at home, after giving Qiuyu the health-replenishing pills, Lu Ming went back to his room and entered the Supreme Shrine. Immediately, Lu Ming started swallowing Dragon Tiger pills and began his unlocking of the 2nd Divine Meridian. It was way more difficult to unlock the 2nd Divine Meridian than the first. This time, it took Lu Ming 45 mediocre first-level Dragon Tiger pills and a total of 5 days to unlock the 2nd Divine Meridian. Once the 2nd Divine Meridian was unlocked, the essential chi within Lu Ming swelled up another notch. I should now pack a bull's strength with the explosion of my essential chi alone, I guess. At first grade warrior realm, ordinary martial artists will achieve up to a bull's strength of power with the explosion of their essential chi, and the power of essential chi explosion that Lu Ming now wielded was no less than that of a first-grade warrior realm martial artist. Now, to continue. Lu Ming went on to unlock the 3rd Divine Meridian. The 3rd Divine Meridian was also the hardest. It took Lu Ming a whole 10 days, and he consumed 70 Dragon Tiger pill to finally unlock the 3rd Divine Meridian. When the 3rd Divine Meridian was opened up, the light spots on Lu Ming's body lit up one by one, and when all 108 acupuncture points were lit up, it was like the stars in the sky, shining and shimmering brightly. 108 big acupuncture points and the Tulavir meridians formed a perfect loop. Continuous waves of thickened, elevated essential chi soared within Lu Ming's meridians. So powerful, 3 unlocked divine meridian is so much more powerful when compared to 2 unlocked divine meridians. Analyzing the energy coursing within him, Lu Ming was delighted. 3 unlocked divine meridians and 2 unlocked divine meridians, even if it was just 1 meridian apart, the vast difference between the two was as different as heaven and earth. 3 divine meridians represented perfection. 2 divine meridians would still be flawed. Lu Ming felt that he could currently gather an essential chi whirl in his dantian and leap into the warrior's realm at any given time. Not yet, I've not gotten the second stage of the true war dragon technique. Lu Ming forcefully suppressed his desire to leap into warrior realm, set his gaze upon the second platform beyond the 99 steps. This time, I should be able to go up now, right? Lu Ming got up and walked towards the second platform. Instantaneously, he was on the 99th step. He was hindered here the last time. This time, there was no hindrance at all. In a step, Lu Ming ascended onto the second platform. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. Completed Meridian. There was also a chest on the second platform, although it was made of bronze instead. Lu Ming opened the box. There were 2 manuals and a jade box inside. One of the manuals was made of something suspiciously similar to gold instead of paper. It was probably over 100 pages long, but it seemed like it was weightless when held in hand, as if he was holding a cloud. There were 4 words written on top. True War Dragon Techniques. Lu Ming frantically flipped its pages to read it in detail. So it seems that this isn't the just second stage of the True War Dragon technique, it's the entire technique. Lu Ming's eyes sparkled. As he continued flipping through the pages, his smile grew wider and wider. Based on what was recorded, the True War Dragon technique on the first platform was not technically at first stage, but rather the introduction of the technique. It was mainly utilized to build a foundation and open up the 3 divine meridians more easily. From here on out was the real start of the True War Dragon technique. The technique was layered into 9 stages. The dragon-shaped essential chi condensed from the True War Dragon technique was more viscous compared to the essential chi from normal cultivation. From what the record said, as long as the first stage of the technique was achieved, the essential chi that was condensed would be twice as viscous as normal chi. Achieving the second stage would produce 3 times the viscosity. Based on that logic, if the 9th stage was achieved, the viscosity of the condensed chi would be 10 times that of normal chi. Lu Ming was ecstatic. 10 times? What was this concept? It was comparing steel with deadwood. A single strike of steel would shatter the deadwood into million pieces. It was horrifying. Truly, a divine-level technique. But the difficulties of cultivating it successfully could not be slighted as well. Putting the 9th stage aside, the conditions of achieving the first stage was to open up the 3 divine meridians, or successfully cultivating it would be impossible. It was no wonder that the introduction to the True War Dragon technique on the first platform stated that the 3 divine meridians had to be open for the user to cultivate the technique that followed. That was merely the first stage. A plethora of materials were required to assist in the cultivation of the second stage. They were all extremely rare materials, some which Lu Ming had never even heard of. I'll deal with that when I get to it. To be able to cultivate the first stage and achieve essential chi with twice the viscosity of normal chi would be a terrifying feat in itself. Excitement sparked in Lu Ming's eyes. He carefully read the True War Dragon technique once and picked up the other book. The Lustre Sword technique was a superior yellow-level sword technique. If successfully cultivated, a sword would seem like a never-ending stream of light that was as swift as lightning. This was actually a superior yellow-level martial technique. Even the most precious martial technique of the Lu family only was of superior yellow level. There was also a jade box, with the words, Spirit Soul Pill written on it. The Spirit Soul Pill was a 3rd-level medicine pill that was worth at least tens of thousands of Esilavir taels. There was a demand for it, but no supply, as it could rapidly advance one's cultivation, making it extremely useful for people in the Master Realm, let alone the Warrior Realm. First, it was the Marrow Cleansing Pill, and now it's the Spirit Soul Pill. They're all useful for me. Lu Ming suppressed the joy in his head as his expression changed into one of contemplation. He had a feeling that this was arranged by someone. How else could he explain how everything was useful to him? How peculiar. When he could not come to a conclusion, he shook his head. There was no point in thinking over it if he could not figure it out. Instead, he cast his gaze towards the third platform. If the first and second platforms carried such treasures, what would he discover on the third platform? There were still 99 steps to the third platform. As expected, there was a force blocking Lu Ming's way when he reached the 99th step. Unlike what he thought, there were no chests on the third platform. It was empty, except for a stone stand in the middle of the platform. He could not make out its use. I'm looking forward to it. Lu Ming's had a burning curiosity for the third platform and the others that followed. However, there was nothing he could do as he was unable to ascend. Lu Ming shook his head and returned to the second platform, where he started circulating the true War Dragon technique. It was time for him to step into Warrior Realm. Essential Qi was circulating in all Tulavir meridians. His 108 acupuncture points lit up as the surging essential Qi finally gathered in his dantian. Whoosh! A cyclone suddenly formed in his dantian, spinning at a rapid speed. The essential Qi in his meridians gravitated towards the cyclone. The cycle started out big, but hazy like a mist. As time passed, the Qi cyclone shrunk in size as it became more dense. In the end, it was like a solid object that was clear and visible. Woo! A sound akin to dragons rang out. Inside Lu Ming's body, his essential Qi were like small miniature dragons that swam in the vortex and his meridians. Lu Ming's aura had strengthened considerably. He had stepped into Warrior Realm. Lu Ming had finally entered Warrior Realm. The true War Dragon technique had been naturally cultivated to the first stage. Whoosh! Lu Ming opened his eyes and let out a long breath. The breath was like a pillar of gas, shooting out for meters before it dispersed. Rumble! Lu Ming suddenly stood up. He struck the air with his fists, which suddenly exploded like a bomb, ringing non-stop. Such a strong power. How strong am I right now? The second grade warrior realm? Or is it the third grade? Lu Ming had already surpassed human limits after he opened up the 3 divine meridians, but his qi was twice as viscous compared to normal qi after cultivating the first stage of the true War Dragon technique. Lu Ming had no idea how strong his explosive power now was. Lu Ming then cast his gaze towards the Spirit Soul Pill. At the moment, my rate of cultivation has been too fast and needs consolidation, so it isn't suitable for me to consume the Spirit Soul Pill. There's still 18 days before the house meeting. It should be enough. I'll wait until the house meeting is right around the corner before I take the Spirit Soul Pill. I'll have a better chance at the house meeting that way. Lu Ming clenched his fists. He was brimming with confidence as he felt the immense power within his body. In the days that came, Lu Ming consolidated his cultivation as he cultivated several martial skills, especially the lustrous sword technique. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed by. There were only 3 days left before the house meeting. Within that time period, though Lu Ming's blood meridian had not grown, its rate of absorbing any surrounding spirit energy had increased. Now, it could actually go toe-to-toe with a 3rd-level blood meridian. Along with the true War Dragon technique, if Lu Ming had cultivated normally, his absorption rate could be compared to a 4th-level blood meridian. In the span of half a month, not only had Lu Ming's cultivation solidified, but it was also advancing at a stable pace. He had already reached the top of 1st-grade warrior realm. In terms of martial techniques, the Flame Dragon Fist was still on the 4th stage, the Mastery of Technique stage. The farther one advanced in martial skills, the harder it would be to improve. There were people who were unable to advance to the Mastery of Technique stage for inferior yellow-level martial arts techniques. However, the Dragon Serpent steps had improved, advancing to the 4th stage, the Mastery of Technique stage. The lustrous sword technique, which was of superior yellow level, was even harder to cultivate. In half a month's time, Lu Ming had only cultivated it to the 2nd stage with the help of the chanting. It was a small accomplishment. Lu Ming was seated on a stone stool in the center of the courtyard. He brewed a cup of tea, which he was leisurely sipping. After cultivating for so long, Lu Ming wanted to relax a little before making a final push. Young master! Young master! I bear good news. The moment she finished her sentence, an adorable and pleasant maiden appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. It was Chiu Yu. Chapter 12. Chapter 12, Lu Ming's Shock. However, Chiu Yu had changed quite a bit compared to how she looked half a month ago. She had been consuming the health-replenishing pill for the past half-month and was no longer skinny and weak like before. Chiu Yu's face was clear and pretty like a blooming flower, complementing her rosy complexion. She looked absolutely beautiful and charming. She appeared graceful and pleasant and was certainly born to be a beauty. What's the good news? Lu Ming asked with a smile. Young master, you've only been focusing on your cultivation, without ever bothering to check on me. Allow me to tell you that I've opened up 4 meridians. 1. Chiu Yu leaned towards Lu Ming's ear and murmured. A faint fragrance wafted into Lu Ming's nose. It was a pleasant smell. However, Lu Ming was not in the right mood to enjoy it. His eyes nearly popped out as he spat a mouthful of tea. He looked at Chiu Yu incredulously and asked, Chiu Yu, what did you say? You've already opened up 4 meridians? Yep. Is it that weird, young master? It didn't take much effort for the meridians to open up, Chiu Yu asked curiously as she blinked her eyes. The corners of Lu Ming's lips started to tremble ever so slightly. He clearly remembered when Chiu Yu was nursing her health around 10 days ago. It was only 3 days before Lu Ming passed the qi condensation art down to Chiu Yu and taught her how to open her meridians. It had only been 3 days, but Chiu Yu had already opened up 4 meridians. Her blood meridian was not awakened yet, and she was even using the useless qi condensation art. It was truly inconceivable. Moreover, what did it didn't take much effort even mean? Was she trying to drive him mad? Was it possible that Chiu Yu was actually a prodigy in cultivating martial arts? Lu Ming's heart started to burn. It was nothing. Can you feel the energy from your blood meridian, Chiu Yu? Lu Ming coughed and asked. The power of my blood meridian. I can't feel it. I wonder why. Chiu Yu was a little confused herself. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. Chiu Yu, come to my room, I'll check it out for you, he said. Sure. Chiu Yu nodded. The two of them entered Lu Ming's room and sat on the bed. All right, let's start. Lu Ming smiled as he stretched out his palms and placed it on Chiu Yu's back, then gradually infused essential qi into her spine. He slowly shifted his palm up Chiu Yu's back in order to stimulate her blood meridian and check its condition. It was at this moment that Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt a huge resistance in Chiu Yu's spine that was stopping him from circulating his essential qi. What's happening? Lu Ming furrowed his brows and increased the amount of essential qi being infused. Something strange occurred right at that moment. A blinding flash of blood red suddenly burst from Chiu Yu's spine. A strong force came surging out from her spine, shooting towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was unable to resist this force. With a thunderous boom, he was thrown to the wall by the force. At that instant, the red flash from Chiu Yu's spine disappeared as if nothing had ever happened. Young master! Chiu Yu was startled. She quickly got off the bed and went to lift Lu Ming up. I'm fine. Lu Ming stood up. Except for his bubbling qi and blood, he was fine. Although the force that surged from her spine was strong, it was not fatal. As long as you're fine, young master. You almost scared me to death, Chiu Yu said as she gave herself a pat. However, Lu Ming furrowed his eyebrows. He was sure that there was a blood meridian present in Chiu Yu, but it was unusual that it would generate a surge of power to blast him away. Definitely unheard of. Seeing Lu Ming furrowing his eyebrows, she knew that he was fretting over her blood meridian. Young master, if I'm unable to awaken my blood meridian, so be it. Ah, right, I'll prepare food for you and the lady, Chiu Yu said gently. Chiu Yu opened the door and left after she finished talking. Lu Ming pondered for a while after Chiu Yu left. He had no choice but to push it aside as he could not figure it out. He could only read up on some ancient journals to check if there were similar records when he had the time. 1. He returned to his room after the meal and returned to the Supreme Shrine once again. There were only 2 days left before the house meeting. Lu Ming planned to consume the Spirit Soul Pill to make the final push. The Spirit Soul Pill was a third-level medicine pill. It was impossible for a normal person to completely refine it as all medicine contained poison and impurities. It would take time to refine the toxin within one's body. However, it was not a problem for Lu Ming. He started circulating the True War Dragon technique after consuming the Spirit Soul Pill. A strong gravitation from his spine absorbed the Spirit Soul Pill's effects and refined energy gushed out. The chi cyclone in his dantian started turning rapidly and absorbed the energy. Lu Ming's cultivation was increasing rapidly. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The house meeting had finally come. Lu Yao, first branch elder, I will shock all of you. Lu Ming stopped cultivating and opened his eyes. He felt the essential chi surging within his body as he sneered ever so slightly. He left the Supreme Shrine and headed towards the courtyard. Why aren't Mother and Chiu Yu around? He looked around and realized Li Ping and Chiu Yu were not there. It was impossible. Today was the house meeting. Li Ping and Chiu Yu would definitely have been waiting for him there. Hurry up. Wash quickly. Clean the toilet too after you finished washing all these clothes. At that moment, a sharp sound that sounded like a duck sounded from next door. Lu Ming's current residence was originally for servants. Hence, it was natural that the next room was where servants lived and worked. You guys are stepping over the line. It's one thing for you to make us wash clothes, but for you to ask to clean the toilets. My lady is the spouse of the Lord. This is too much. I'm reporting you guys to the Elder Council. At that moment, a yell rang out. Boom! The yell sounded like a thunder crash right next to Lu Ming's ears. His eyes instantly went red as anger shot to the top of his head. As the scream was from Chiu Yu, then the lady that she referred to must have been his mother, Li Ping. These servants dared to make Li Ping and Chiu Yu wash their clothes, and to make it worse, clean the toilet. They deserve to die. Lu Ming twisted his body and rushed towards the next door. Chapter 13. Chapter 13, Raging Fury. At that moment, Li Ping and Chiu Yu were washing clothes at the side of the courtyard next to their residence. There was a huge pile of clothes worn by the Lu family in front of them. A fat middle-aged man who fashioned a mustache on his face had 2 strong and buff men standing behind him. The fat man, Duan San, was the housekeeper to the first branch elder. At that moment, Duan San was in stitches. He fixed his gaze on Chiu Yu and Li Ping. Oh my, you guys are thinking of reporting me to the Elder Council? Such wishful thinking. Spouse of the Lord? Bullshit. Once the day is over, Lady Lu Yao will succeed as the Lord. You guys will be nothing then. 1. Let me tell you both, you'll be soon dealing with this kind of work every day, so you'd best practice right now. Don't even think about it. My young master won't let you have your way. Chiu Yu's face was flushed with anger and shouted as she pointed at Duan San. That piece of trash, Lu Ming? Huh, you're actually still expecting that trash to save both of you? Don't even dream about it. Were it not because I couldn't find him today, he'd be the one cleaning the toilets right now. Duan San let out an unpleasant sharp laugh. His beady eyes flashed lustfully as he scanned Chiu Yu's body. I never thought that you would become so pretty after missing you for some time. How about this? You can come to my room and serve me. If I'm satisfied with your service, I might consider letting you 2 off on cleaning the toilets. Don't even think about it. Chiu Yu's face turned pale. She subconsciously took 2 steps back. Duan San's face turned cold. Don't even think about it? But I want to do it. Take this girl and bring her to my room. Roger. The 2 muscular men behind Duan San responded. No, don't. I beg you, housekeeper Duan, let Chiu Yu go. I will do any chore you ask me to. Please just let Chiu Yu go. Li Ping stood in front of Qiuyu to protect her as she looked at Duan San pleadingly. Scram! The two muscular men shouted. One of them swung his palm towards Li Ping. Right at that moment. Bam! The courtyard's door suddenly burst open, sending wood shrapnel flying everywhere. It happened so suddenly that the two muscular men stopped their actions. Everyone's gaze was drawn to the door. A young figure stepped into the courtyard. Lu Ming, it's you? You came at the right time, go clean the toilets now. Duan San let out a breath and sneered the moment he saw Lu Ming. The youth was indeed Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even glance at Duan San. He walked towards Li Ping in a few steps and asked, Mother, are you all right? Mother is fine, Ming. Why did you come? We can handle this, you should leave quickly, Li Ping said anxiously. Lu Ming shook his head and said, Mother, I was late, I will never let you experience any unfairness from now on. Lu Ming, I'm talking to you, trash. Do you hear me? Duan San sounded behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming slowly turned and glared at Duan San with a gaze that was as cool as ice, as if his eyes were that of a demon from hell. The current situation sparked an incomparable fury inside Lu Ming. It filled his chest and was about to explode at any given time. The burning fury turned into chilling murderous intent. An emotionless sentence parted Lu Ming's lips. Duan San, you deserve to die. The cold look in Lu Ming's eyes chilled Duan San's heart. However, as soon as he remembered that Lu Ming was merely trash, he picked up his courage and glared fiercely. Lu Ming, how dare you threaten me? You're courting death. Break his limbs. He shouted. Roger. That two muscular men glared ferociously and made a move, grabbing Lu Ming by his arms. The two strong men were at the peak of mid-novice realm. Ming. Li Ping was frightened. Duan San could not stop sneering. Snap. Snap. The sound of bones snapping rang out twice, followed by two piercing screams. Duan San froze and it startled Li Ping. This was because the screaming came from the muscular men. All it took was for Lu Ming to hold on to their wrists, and the bones were ground into powder. My hand. The two muscular men could not stop screaming from the pain. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming's essential qi spewed out and surged into the bodies of the two muscular men. They mumbled for a moment before being sent flying and crashing onto the ground before they even took their last breaths. Their organs were severely damaged by Lu Ming. Only at that moment did Duan San react to the situation. Lu Ming, how dare you? They were under the first branch elder, and you dare to kill them. You're courting death. You're the one who'll die. Lu Ming scoffed. He took a step forward and threw a punch at Duan San. The moment he threw the punch, a wild jet of essential qi spurted out and enveloped Duan San. The essential qi was so strong, Duan San felt as if he was plunged into an icy chasm. Bam! As he finished his sentence, Lu Ming's fist landed squarely on Duan San's belly. Duan San cried out in pain. His stout body landed heavily on the ground like a carcass of a pig being thrown out, forming a cloud of dust. Lu Ming, if you cripple my cultivation, Miss Lu Yao and the first branch elder will never forgive you. Duan San yelped desperately. Is that so? Lu Ming walked towards Duan San and violently stomped on his leg. Snap. Duan San's foot instantly snapped from the stomp. He let out a miserable howl akin to the sound of a slaughtered pig. There were tears and snot flowing down his face. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he gazed at Duan San. You said you wanted my limbs broken a moment ago. Now, I'm going to break yours. The moment he finished talking, he stomped on Duan San's other foot and broke its bones as well. My leg. Lu Ming, no, young Master Ming, I beg of you to spare me. The first branch elder and Lu Chuan ordered me to do all of this. How would I dare to disobey them? Duan San howled miserably. The first branch elder and Lu Chuan. Lu Ming's glare was icy cold. He then consecutively stomped his foot on Duan San's arms and instantly broke them, then turned around and walked towards Li Ping and Qiuyu. Ming'er, Is that your cultivation? Right at that moment, Li Ping stared at Lu Ming excitedly as tears welled in her eyes. Mother, your son has experienced a miracle in this period of time. I'll go into details later, let's head to the training field now, Lu Ming said. Li Ping's expression changed. Ming'er, the training field? The first branch elder and Lu Yao are over there, you'd best be not too impulsive. 2. Although Lu Ming's cultivation had improved tremendously over this period of time, was he strong enough to go against Lu Yao? Not only did Lu Yao awaken a 5th-level blood meridian, but she also had marital ties with the mystical sword sex Duanmu family. Li Ping heard that during that period, the Duanmu family delivered a slew of valuable pills to her while she concentrated on cultivating behind closed doors. 1. Naturally, she was worried about Lu Ming. A gentle yet confident smile formed on Lu Ming's lips. Fret not, mother. Lu Yao will not take the title of Lu family's lord, nor will anyone else. The title belongs to father. If anyone tries to lay a finger on it, I'll chop that finger off. My lady, don't worry, young master can do it. Chiu Yu agreed. The three of them headed towards the Lu family's training field. Chapter 14. Chapter 14. House meeting commences. The Lu family's training field was located on the eastern side of the Lu family residence. It was extremely spacious and had no trouble accommodating 100,000 people. In the middle of the training field, there was an enormous platform that was made from stainless steel rocks that spanned 200 meters in width and length. There were majestic grandstands built on the northern, eastern, and western sides of the training field. The northern grandstand was the main grandstand, reserved for the Lu family. The eastern and western grandstands were for influential families within Fiery Wind City. At that moment, 7 gray-haired elders sat on the very top of the grandstand. These elders were the 7 elders at the core of the Lu family's Elder Council. The core elders in the Lu family's Elder Council were all handpicked by the family themselves as the most qualified and renowned members. They were all working for the sake of the Lu family, which was why they were the most appropriate and would not be biased towards a particular branch, ultimately having the Lu family's best interest at heart. Lu Yunxiong, the Lu family's first branch elder, was seated slightly further down below. At his side, a maiden around the age of 15 was seated as well. Dressed in a snow-white dress, her beauty was simply indescribable. It was Lu Yao. First branch elder Lu, congratulations. I heard your daughter has unparalleled talent, awakening a 5th-level blood meridian. Her future is limitless. The Li family's lord, Li Fu, congratulated the first branch elder with flattery. Thank you, the first branch elder replied simply. All other families and renowned figures in the Fiery Wind City then approached the first branch elder to congratulate him. The first branch elder simply nodded in acknowledgement. Roar! At that moment, the roars of wild beasts rang from a distant street. The sound pierced the skies as if there were tens of thousands of demons charging in. After a moment, over 10 giant blood-red tigers appeared in front of the audience. They were 2 meters tall and spanned a width over 4 meters. A silhouette donned in a fiery red garb was seated on each giant tiger, and fierce aura along with scorching breath permeated the entire area. Flame tigers. They're from the White Tiger Hall, one of the 5 halls of the mystical sword sect. Could they be from the Duanmu family's lord? 1. There were exclamations coming from the crowd. For the White Tiger Hall to take the initiative in sending someone over, could they be aiming to recruit Lu Yao as a disciple? Someone guessed. The first branch elder stood up with a whoosh and descended the grandstand, his face filled with excitement. For the mystical sword sect's White Tiger Hall to pay a visit, it is my fault for not welcoming you outside the gates. Please forgive me. He clasped his fists. You're too courteous, first branch elder. I am Duanmu Qing, who works for the mystical sword sect's White Tiger Hall. I am here today to congratulate Lu Yao on the accession as the Lu family's lord, and also to officially recruit Lu Yao as a disciple of the White Tiger Hall, said a middle-aged man in a fiery red garb who was seated on the largest flame tiger. "You are too polite, envoy. Please, take a seat," the first branch elder replied with a smile on his face. Duan Muqing smiled. He and another 2 men dismounted from their flame tigers and arrived at the main grandstand. The other people directed their flame tigers to the side. It seems that Lu Yao does have terrifying talents. There's still another 2 months before the mystical sword sect officially recruits disciples, and people would normally be the ones to approach them. They would have to go through strict tests, and only the ones who passed would be able to join. It's truly a rare sight for the mystical sword sect to personally come and recruit someone. Indeed, they say that Lu Yao has attracted the attention of a genius from the Duanmu family of the mystical sword sect. Her future looks really promising. The Lu family really got themselves an extraordinary genius this time, one that outshines even Lu Yuntian. The people all around were discussing heatedly. Shriek. At that moment, a loud, sharp cry resounded through the sky. Even if it was from a great distance, it could still be heard. The crowd's eyes involuntarily darted in that direction. Then, their eyes widened in awe. There was a gigantic snow-white goshawk with a wingspan of 50 meters. It had talons as pointed as blades, and its eyes were extremely sharp. The crowd shivered and broke into a sweat as the goshawk scanned its eyes across the people. Several figures stood atop the goshawk. A silent snow goshawk. It's a silent snow goshawk from the mystical sword sect's Vermilion Bird Hall. Even the Vermilion Bird Hall has arrived. The crowd exclaimed. I am Lu Qian from the mystical sword sect's Vermilion Bird Hall. I have come today representing the Vermilion Bird Hall to recruit Lu Yao as a disciple, said a lady around the age of 30, gracefully perched atop the silent snow goshawk. 1. SSE. At that moment, an immense flying snake soared over from a distance. It had a fierce aura that seeped through the entire place. Ha, Duan Muqing, Lu Qian, your halls are pretty quick to take action. I am Tai Zhong from the mystical sword sect's Azure Dragon Hall, representing my hall to recruit Miss Lu Yao as a disciple. I am Gao Shi from the Onyx Tortoise Hall, representing my hall to recruit Miss Lu Yao as a disciple. Another voice followed. The empire Lu Ming was in was named the Blazing Sun Empire. The Blazing Sun Empire occupied a vast amount of land. Fiery Wind City was but a mere town in comparison to the empire. The total cities that the empire governed amounted to at least 10,000. There were 5 sects in the entire Blazing Sun Empire. They were predominant forces that were at the top of the ladder. Conveniently situated at the center of the Blazing Sun Empire, they were the ones governing the empire. The mystical sword sect occupied a vast amount of territory within the Blazing Sun Empire. Fiery Wind City was situated in the easternmost spot of the empire, which was within the jurisdiction of the mystical sword sect. The mystical sword sect was divided into 5 halls, namely the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Onyx Tortoise, Vermilion Bird, and Qilin. The Duanmu family was the main family from the White Tiger Hall of the mystical sword sect. Although the 5 halls were from the same sect, there was bound to be an open competition and covert struggles. As such, each hall would naturally want to recruit a genius into their own ranks when one appeared. The successive arrival of 4 halls caused a din. Goodness! Out of the 5 halls of the mystical sword sect, there were 4 that came. All of them are looking to take Miss Lu Yao in as a disciple. Unbelievable! I know, right? The mystical sword sect oversees nearly 2,000 cities. The 5 halls stand high above the masses. It's rare of them to send a representative to recruit a disciple, but there's 4 this time. Amazing, truly amazing. The surrounding crowd was discussing heatedly. It was reasonable for the White Tiger Hall to send a representative to recruit Lu Yao as a disciple, as she had marital ties with the Duanmu family from the White Tiger Hall. However, there were 3 other halls who also sent someone over with the aim of recruiting Lu Yao as their disciple. It was a testament to Lu Yao's impressive talent that had shocked even the other halls. As 4 halls of the mystical sword sect wanted to take Lu Yao as their disciple, the glow around her intensified. The 3 envoys, please take a seat. The first branch elder hurriedly invited the guests from the 3 halls to be seated. He could hardly contain his happiness. He was brimming with happiness and had already predicted the arrival of the White Tiger Hall, but the arrival of 3 other halls was out of his expectations. This increased his reputation. Yao, this was all because of you. The first branch elder murmured as he clenched his fists. His emotions were surging. He knew that the reason why 4 of the 5 halls would send someone right to their doorstep was all because of Lu Yao, his own daughter. At that moment, he sighed emotionally. The 3 years of effort was not in vain. It was worth it. Vermilion Bird Hall, Azure Dragon Hall, and the Onyx Tortoise Hall, why are you here? Lu Yao belongs to us, White Tiger Hall. Are you planning to snatch her away from us? Duanmu Qing was looking at the messengers from the other 3 halls. His expression seemed sour. Duanmu Qing, I know that Lu Yao already has marital ties with White Tiger Hall's Duanmu Lin, but Miss Lu Yao might not want to choose the White Tiger Hall. We all belong to the mystical sword sect. There isn't any difference in choosing another hall, it all depends on adaptability. Azure Dragon Hall's Tai Zhong laughed. From how I see it, your efforts are in vain. Duanmu Qing snorted. The first branch elder, who was seated beside, was even more excited. The Lu family's house meeting had not even started yet, but the 4 halls were already fighting over Lu Yao. His face flushed at the thought of that. At that moment, a scent of fragrance wafted over. A graceful figure approached, instantly attracting the attention of everyone. Hall owner Mu, I did not think you would come. Please, take a seat. The first branch elder quickly welcomed her. She was the hall owner of the Elixir Hall, Mulan. The Elixir Hall was backed by the mystical sword sect. The first branch elder dared not to neglect her. Martial Aunt Mu, you've come as well. The Vermilion Hall's Lu Qian hurriedly stepped forward for a salute, which startled many people as they started speculating. Mulan had quite the position in the Vermilion Bird Hall. Lu Qian was already over 30 years in age but was still addressing Mulan as her martial aunt. 2. Yes, I came to watch the fun. Why is she here? The expression of the lot from the 3 other halls changed. At that moment, Lu Ming, Li Ping, and Qiu Yu arrived among the crowd. Chapter 15. Chapter 15. Farewell, Lu Yao. At that moment, a scholarly gentleman around the age of 40 ascended the platform in the middle of the training field. He was the leader of the second branch, as well as the Lu family's second branch elder, Lu Yunfeng. In today's house meeting, it is an immense honor for the Lu family to have envoys of the mystical sword sect present. Lu Yunfeng started off with conventional ceremonies, but he followed up with a sharp turn in topic. So, young juniors of the Lu family, you must do your best and give it your all. You might just catch the envoy's attention and get recruited into the mystical sword sect. As Lu Yunfeng finished his sentence, the breathing of the Lu family's youngsters quickened. They were getting worked up, preparing themselves for a fight. In normal circumstances, the mystical sword sect would only be open for recruits in 2 months, but when that happened, it would be a competition amongst nearly 2,000 cities within the Blazing Sun Empire. The chances of winning were too small. However, if they caught the interest of any envoys from the mystical sword sect, they would instantly be recommended into the sect. It would be smooth sailing from then on. The envoys on the main grandstand smiled. Making no retorts meant that they were in silent agreement. The eyes of the Lu family's youngsters shined brightly. Lu Yunfeng saw that he had achieved his goals. A joyful look formed on his face as he announced, "All right, the house meeting officially starts now. This meeting will be divided into 3 sections. A test of Wrestle-Levier in the first, a test of Meridians on the second, and a tournament for the last section." As everybody knows, the road of a martial artist is filled with difficulties and challenges. One has to take a single step at a time. Without a strong will, it is impossible to go far on this road. For those who want to participate in the house meeting, step up and ascend the flaming steps. At the end of the speech, young boys and girls of the Liu family approached the platform from the sides. They were all the new youngsters of the Liu family. The genders were mixed, but none of them were above the age of 18. At that moment, Lu Yao's figure rose on the main grandstand. Instantaneously, the entire crowd's gaze focused on her. Lu Yao was in a snow-white dress. She had a slim figure with desirable curves. Along with fair skin that was as smooth as jade and her perfect face, it was as if she was a fairy who walked out from a picture. A gossiper had once said that Lu Yao was the fairest maiden in Fiery Wind City. It was truly not an exaggeration. She walked towards the platform in the middle of the training field with soft, graceful steps. Absolutely stunning. Many people exclaimed in their hearts. Not only did Lu Yao stand out amongst the crowd, but she was also blessed with unparalleled talent. I heard that Lu Yao had already opened up 9 meridians before awakening her blood meridian. The moment she awakened the 5th level meridian, she followed it up with a divine meridian. She should be even better now. There would really be no regrets left in life if anyone could be able to marry such a blessed girl. I heard that Lu Yao has marital ties with the prodigy of the Duanmu family, Duanmu Lin, from the White Tiger Hall. Perhaps only someone on Duanmu Lin's level would be a match for her. I heard that Lu Yao and Lu Ming from the main branch were close. I thought they were a thing. That piece of trash? How could he ever be worthy of her? It would have been sticking a fresh flower on cow dung. Thank God they didn't end up together, or he would have been awfully unfair. Everyone was in discussion. Amidst the crowd, Lu Ming heard the speculations and gently smiled. He would soon shut them up. In a while, Lu Yao stepped onto the stage. Her juniors of the same family that were beside her were eclipsed by Lu Yao's mere presence. The envoys from the main grandstand had their eyes fixed on her. After all, they did come for her. At that moment, there were over 30 youngsters of mixed genders from the Liu family on stage. Is there anyone who has yet to come? The second elder asked loudly. In that instant, a figure walked out from the crowd and slowly approached the stage. Lu Ming. Seeing the figure shocked many people. Isn't that the piece of trash from the main branch, Lu Ming? What? Does he want to participate in the house meetings test? Many people were perplexed. On the grandstand, the first branch elder's eyes dimmed. He never expected that Lu Ming would dare to come. Liu family's 7 core elders who sat atop everyone were also curious and puzzled. Minghe. In the crowd, Li Ping and Qiu Yu's hands were tightly linked together. On the stage, Lu Yao furrowed her brows when she saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming, why did you come up? You don't belong here, get down. Lu Ming did not respond, he only stared at her. It was the first time that Lu Ming met Lu Yao after his blood meridian was stripped away from him. The figure in front of him that he used to love could no longer give him the slightest sense of warmth. Now, all that was left in his eyes was coldness. Seeing Lu Ming's looks, Lu Yao shook her head. Lu Ming, I know that you're upset over me succeeding in the Lord's position even though you're the descendant of the main branch, but you should be clear about your current condition. The position of the Lord belongs to the capable. There's too great of a distance between you and me, a massive channel that's difficult to cross. The two of us are destined in different worlds. My world has only begun, while yours is fated to be ordinary. It's the end of the line for you. Is that so? You're pretty confident, but you got one thing right. We do belong in different worlds. Lu Ming smiled. He then stood at one side, ignoring Lu Yao. He did not come today to waste words, but rather to let his actions speak for themselves. Lu Ming. The first branch elder shouted coolly from the main stage. Lu Ming turned around and looked at the first branch elder. He wanted to hear what the old fogey had to say. Lu Ming, you can't condense essential qi as you were born frail and weak. Seeing how you were the descendant of the main branch of our family, Lu Yao was kind enough to keep you company and motivate you with encouragement. If you were able to awake a blood meridian like your father's, you would be able to succeed in the Lord's position. Nothing can be done if you can't even awaken a blood meridian. Naturally, you won't be able to succeed in the Lord's position. Coincidentally, Yaoer awakened a 5th-level blood meridian and acquired the favor of the Duanmu family's prodigy, who is asking for her hand. You took it to heart. Not only did you forget how well Yaoer treated you, but you've also fantasized about her and planned to make a move. You even tried to break the marital ties between Yaoer and the Duanmu family. Absolutely offensive. However, seeing how you're the descendant of the main branch and the only son of brother Yuntian, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. Now, get off the stage. The first branch elder's voice echoed dully. What? Lu Ming was so detestable? Miss Lu Yao kept him company for so many years to take care of him, but he was that delirious and would bite the hand that fed him? How detestable. No wonder he's a piece of trash. The moment the crowd heard the first branch elder's speech, they all glared at Lu Ming. Lu Yunxiong, don't blabber nonsense. Amidst the crowd, Lu Ping shouted as she pointed at the first branch elder. Her entire body was shaking. Mother, there is no need to argue with someone like him. Lu Ming told Li Ping. The first branch elder was the lowest of low. It was them who were the despicable ones that planned for 3 years to bring Lu Ming down and snatch his blood meridian away from him, but they were twisting the facts, even accusing him of attempted rape, and accusing him of ruining the marital ties between Lu Yao and the Duanmu family. Lu Yao could not be bothered to talk to someone like him. The truth would soon be revealed. There's actually someone like that? Absolutely abominable. Not only is he someone like that, but he's also a piece of trash that can't even awaken a blood meridian. What's the point of staying on the stage? Hurry up and scram. The White Tiger Hall's envoy, Duanmu Qing, sneered. Who the fuck are you? This is my family's house meeting. Who are you to butt in? Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at Duanmu Qing. He was not giving him any face. The audacity! How dare you? Do you know who I am? Chapter 16. Chapter 16. Enveloped in flames, yet a walk in the park for me. All right, it's time for the test of Reso-Levier, Lu Yunfeng announced. There was a set of stairs made of jade to the left of the platform. It was the Flaming Steps, consisting of 9 steps. It was produced by a master craftsman whom the Lu family spent a fortune to hire. It was a peculiar device, with intricate inscriptions etched onto the surface. The inscriptions on the steps would activate when someone stepped on it. It would begin to emit scorching heat that would surround the challenger who attempted to ascend the stairs. Similar to being enveloped in a blazing fire, the person would have to bear the pain and torture of being enveloped in flames. Although the flames were not real, the sensation was no different from being within an actual fire. Furthermore, the scorching heat grew stronger with each step. For this test, it was a competition between who could stay on top for the longest time and who could climb to the highest step. Naturally, the longer and higher the step one could stay on indicated stronger willpower. Allow me to go first. A junior of the Lu family around the age of 16 walked towards the Flaming Steps. Upon his first step onto the stairs, a large ray light instantly erupted from it, emitting a fiery red radiance. The expression on the youth's face changed drastically. He seemed to be in pain, but he immediately grit his teeth and took another step to the 2nd level, which was closely followed by yet another step to the 3rd level. At that point, he stopped and started to struggle against the pain of being enveloped in flames. However, his body started to shake in only 10 breaths. His face was ghastly pale and contorted. It was obvious that he was bearing an intense amount of torture. Yet another 10 breaths passed. No longer able to withstand the heat, he yelped and jumped off the Flaming Steps. Lu Li, 3rd step, 20 breaths. Lu Yunfeng announced. Then, the juniors of the Lu family stepped up one by one to take the test. However, most of them lingered around the third and fourth steps and only lasted around 20 to 30 breaths. Allow me to try. Lu Chuan walked up. He glanced at Lu Ming and sneered before he ascended the steps. His pace was rapid as he reached the fifth step without any signs of stopping. Then, he stopped on the fifth step and stood there for as long as 52 breaths. This shocked the crowd. As expected from Lu Yao's elder brother. While the sister has paralleled talent, the brother doesn't pale in comparison either. To actually be able to stay in the fifth step for 52 breaths. Duanmu Qing praised. Envoy Duanmu likes to overpraise, the first branch elder bellowed. Lu Chuan smiled smugly. Then, the test continued. There were quite a few people who possessed a strong will, two which did not pale in comparison to Lu Chuan. One stayed on the fifth step for 52 breaths, while another survived for 55 breaths. However, nobody dared to challenge the sixth step. Soon, only Lu Yao and Lu Ming were left on the platform. Lu Yao glanced at Lu Ming and approached the flaming steps. At that moment, everyone's gaze was focused on Lu Yao. There was a huge amount of expectation placed upon Lu Yao. Everyone wanted to see how strong her willpower was. Those with amazing talents may not have a strong will. Lu Yao delicately stepped onto the first step and quickly ascended to the second step. Step by step, she ascended to the sixth step in one go, without any signs of stopping. Reaching the sixth step meant that she had already surpassed everyone else. Everyone held their breaths and focused on her. However, Lu Yao did not stop. She took another step and ascended to the seventh level. Lu Yao actually ascended to the seventh step. Truly impressive. Let's see how long she can last. The crowd started to make predictions. However, the answer came to them very soon. 86 breaths. Lu Yao lingered on the seventh step for 86 breaths before she hopped off the stairs. Impressive, truly impressive. Not only is Lu Yao gifted with extraordinary talents, but she also has a strong will. She is truly a girl gifted by the gods. Indeed. That was the seventh step, which is incomparable to the steps below. People in the crowd were discussing intensely. Lu Yao was expressionless as she turned and walked away, as if what she had just achieved was insignificant. When she passed by Lu Ming, there was a look of disdain in her eyes. Did you see that? That's the difference between us. Her soft voice echoed in Lu Ming's ears. Is that so? You'd best remember those words. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer as he walked towards the flaming steps. He's over his own head. The first branch elders sneered on the main grandstand. How many steps do you think that Lu Ming will be able to ascend? Lu Chuan asked the other young people with a smile on the platform. From how I see it, it'll be the second step at most. Less than 10 breaths on the second step, in my opinion. A few other youths laughed. As the words left their mouths, their smiles were frozen in place as their eyes involuntarily widened. At that moment, Lu Ming had already ascended the second step. He walked up to the third step but seemed to have no intention to stop as he ascended yet another step to the fourth step. The fifth step followed and the sixth step next. Lu Ming did not stop after he reached the seventh step. He lifted his legs and ended up on the eighth step. However, that was not Lu Ming's destination. At that moment, he lifted his foot and took another step. In the crowd, everyone's hearts rose in tandem with Lu Ming's foot. Then, it fell in sync with Lu Ming's foot as he reached the ninth level. What followed was a thunderous uproar. Goodness! Lu Ming ascended to the ninth step. How could this be possible? So what if he could get there? The point is to see how long he can endure. It would be even more embarrassing if he couldn't handle it and left in a single breath. Such overconfidence. It shall be a sight to behold when he turns into an oaf because his mind collapsed from being unable to bear the torture, the first branch elder said coolly. Mingya. Young master. Li Ping and Qiu Yu's hands were locked in sweat below the platform. Their eyes were filled with worry. However, the din from the crowd slowly lessened. It was because 10 breaths had already passed. Lu Ming had actually lingered on the 9th step for 10 breaths without coming down. Obviously, the 10 breaths were just the beginning. Time was slowly ticking. 20 breaths, 30 breaths. 100 breaths had quickly passed, but Lu Ming still remained on top. His slender figure stood tall on the 9th step, like a sharp blade. The crowd was dead silent. I bet his mind had already collapsed. Could he have died standing? The first branch elder sneered. However, at that moment Lu Ming smiled. Lu Yao, what you said was correct. This is the difference between you and I. His voice echoed from afar. Not only were his words like a slap across the first branch elder's cheek, but it was also a slap on Lu Yao's cheek as well. Those words were from Lu Yao to Lu Ming. At that point, Lu Ming had reflected it straight back at her with the hard truth. Lu Yao's beautiful eyes were flickering as she gazed at Lu Yao, who was atop the flaming steps. However, she quickly calmed herself. Lu Ming, you've been a piece of trash for your entire life, suffering humiliation from others. That's quite a strong will that you've achieved. However, it is merely a base. What matters most is the talent. I will show you next the true difference between you and me. The crowd suddenly saw the light after her speech. After thinking about it, it was natural that Lu Ming, a piece of trash, would have a stable mind after suffering through endless humiliation after all these years. So that's how it is. Duan Muqing smiled. Is that so? A vague smile formed on Mu Lan's face. She was looking forward to Duan Muqing and the first branch elders' reactions after they witnessed Lu Ming's performance later on. Lu Ming's eyes were calm as he smiled feebly on the steps. As if he was taking a stroll through a park, he slowly walked down the steps. Alright, the first round has ended. On to the second round, Meridian testing. Prepare the Meridian testing altar. The second branch elder announced. Around 10 muscular men then hoisted an altar that was around 150 centimeters high onto the platform. There were dense inscriptions etched onto the altar. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.